Chapter 2554. Qin Yin had no idea how strong a six-star celestial heavenly lord was. That was because the strongest he had ever faced was the Arch Rampage. Although he had destroyed the physical body of a supremacy sovereign before, it was not the strongest supremacy sovereign. Emperor of Baosha should be a 4- or 5-star divine heaven lord, right? In other words, with my own strength, I should be able to fight against 6- or 7-star Shun Tianjun. Qin Yin secretly estimated his own strength. When he entered the Imperial Heaven State, he could easily kill Baosha Grand Emperor with a combination of the evil extreme devil and the 9 saintly heavenly Tao statues. Those who were much stronger than Emperor Baosha were the 6- and 7-star celestial heavenly monarchs. Xiao Yun, if you unleash your power, 10 6-star heavenly lords will definitely not be able to take you down. Ling Yuner said, I still haven't recovered. Imperial Heaven State consumes a lot of energy. Most of my sacred heavenly Tao images are very tired. Yuner, how are you recovering? Qin Yun asked. I've recovered a lot, but it's still not enough. Ling Yuner said. She's also one of Qin Yun's sacred heavenly Tao images. Qin Yun can borrow her divine power at any time. 10 6-star celestial heavenly monarchs were already nearby. Their instruments were very sensitive, and they soon detected the soul fluctuations of others. Qin Yun had already done his best to conceal his soul fluctuations, but he was still detected. The 10 Shin Tianjun from the law enforcement realm were all wearing golden armor. Those armors looked very different from the others, as if they were woven from golden vines. Through the heavenly eye outside, Qin Yun observed carefully and was astonished to discover that the armors of the 10-6 celestial heavenly monarchs are woven with runes. Could it be that runes are attached to materials, refined into strips, and then woven into armor? Thought Qin Yun. Law enforcement realms, Shun Tianjun flew towards the small divine sun and surrounded it. I'm surrounded. Qin Yun was very calm. He immediately used void transference steps. After the tiny divine sun appeared, he tore through space in 2 steps and distanced himself from the tiny divine Sunday chase after them. The captain in the lead shouted, Qin Yun's speed is very fast. When he flew out, other people could not see him at all. They only knew the general direction. These guys are really strong. I wonder how strong the defense of their armors are. If it can block the heavenly pig roar, then it won't be easy to deal with. Qin Yun took out his divine king spear and used his heavenly eye in the sky to observe the movements behind him. The 10 6-star celestial heavenly monarchs were split into 2 teams and did not stand together. This made it difficult for Qin Yun to attack. This was because he would need to fire 2 shots, which meant that he would need to consume 2 talisman crystals. There were a total of 10 talisman crystals. Qin Yun had already used 1, leaving only 9. He did not want to waste them. So what if I use it? I'll ask Grandpa Heaven Destroyer for it when I get back. Qin Yun sighed and fired 2 shots behind him with heartache. After the 2 rune crystals flew out, they suddenly turned into 2 huge pig heads. This was equivalent to 2 heavenly pig roars. The huge golden pig head wasn't any smaller than those little divine suns. After it flew over, it immediately grabbed the 2 teams and let out an even louder roar. Not only was the roar loud, it traveled very far. This was the stacking of 2 heavenly pig roars. The sound waves were even more intense. Even the distant All Heavens Emperor City could hear the faint sound. On the All Heavens Emperor City's side, when the 7th Sect Master and others heard the faint pig roar, their expression changed. It's heavenly pig roar. Damn it, when did this heaven extermination guy release heavenly pig roars continuously? The 7th Sect Master turned pale with fright. His expression became extremely unsightly. He promptly took out some tools to check the situation of the 10 6-star celestial heavenly monarchs. 7th Sect Master, how is it? Are those 10 6-star celestial heavenly monarchs all right? Great Emperor Zhu Yang asked. The 7th Sect Master shook his head and said with sigh, I don't know. I only know that their souls are still fine. Their souls are not destroyed. Naturally, they are fine. I'm just worried that their souls will be captured. Great Emperor Beijing said, "The souls of divine sun descendants are not destroyed. It is very difficult to capture them. But once they are captured, it will be very troublesome." It was a very painful thing for one's soul to be imprisoned. After Qin Yun shot out 2 talisman crystals, he also felt the power of the 2 heavenly pig roars. What caused him to be astonished is that the 10 six-star celestial heavenly monarchs are still in good condition. Their bodies are still there, but their condition is somewhat poor. Their armors are indeed very strong. Qin Yun can clearly see that the tattered armors on their bodies are releasing multicolored light. At this moment, Qin Yun also sensed the powerful soul fluctuations of these heavenly monarchs and suddenly became alarmed. They are all descendants of divine sun. These 10 six-star celestial heavenly monarchs are indeed very capable. Even after being hit by 2 heavenly pig roars, their bodies were not destroyed and they did not even suffer any injuries. This was mainly due to the strength of their fleshly bodies, coupled with their armor, which was why they had such a defense. Again, Qin Yun clenched his teeth and released 2 more heavenly pig roars, using up another 2 talisman crystals. 2 huge pig heads appeared once again and rushed over an extremely fast speed, grabbing those 2 squads of people. Those 2 squads of heavenly monarchs originally thought that they could attack, because according to their understanding, it is very difficult to use heavenly pig roars continuously. They believed that the enemy would not be able to use it again. Just as they were about to chase after Qin Yun, the mental power released by the heavenly pig roars attacked their souls. While they were absent-minded, their bodies were grabbed by the pig heads. Another few loud sounds echoed. The sound once again shook the heavenly emperor's city. Heavenly pig roars again. Imperial Yao Yao said with frown, "How can this heavenly pig roars be released continuously? Didn't they say that there would be an interval of 20 hours? Seventh Sect Master and others' faces turned green. He suddenly felt very regretful. He should not have been so reckless. This would have caused them to lose 10 six-star celestial heavenly monarchs. Qin Yun used 2 more talisman crystals to release heavenly pig roars again. This time, those 6-star celestial heavenly monarchs have been destroyed. They don't have armor protecting their bodies. They cannot withstand 2 heavenly pig roars, and their bodies were directly torn apart. Under this kind of situation, Qin Yun is unable to capture their souls. He can only let them fly away. It's over. Easily killed those 6-star celestial heavenly monarchs with 2 spear strikes. Grandpa Heaven Extermination's talisman crystals are really awesome. I thought he was just a braggart before." Qin Yun boasted about the Divine King's Spear. The advantage of talisman crystals is that when shot through the Divine King's Spear, it won't cause the spear barrel to heat up. If he used high-level Divine Universe Gold Bullet, the spear barrel would be very hot. I should have used Divine Universe Gold Bullet to shoot them and directly destroy their bodies. That way I wouldn't have wasted 2 talisman crystals. Qin Yun is secretly vexed. Xiao Yun, quickly take away the little divine sun. You don't have much time left. The people they send next time will definitely be even stronger. Ling Yun lightly yelled. Qin Yun immediately got busy again and went to collect the little divine Sunday. At night, Qin Yun took away more than 2,000 little divine suns, then stopped and immediately jumped out of the barrier and left this region. Heavenly Divine Moon's moonlight is very bright. Law Enforcement Realm only has 8,000 divine suns left, but it can still illuminate a vast land, illuminating the surroundings of Heavenly Emperor City. Qin Yun is currently resting. He wants to recover to his peak before going to Heavenly Emperor City. Late at night, Qin Yun's sound transmission Divine Pearl receive a message. It is from MOG and others. Although Qin Yun didn't reply to them, they still passed on the situation of Heavenly Emperor City to Qin Yun. Law Enforcement Realm 7th Sect is truly terrified. They thought that Grandpa Heaven Extermination was really stealing the Divine Sun. In the end, they didn't even send anyone over. Qin Yun laughed in his heart. After the souls of the 6-star heavenly monarchs he killed flew back, They truly believed that heaven extermination was stealing the little divine son. Those six-star heavenly monarchs couldn't even see Qin Yun. They only saw pig heads appear one after another and were attacked by the heavenly pig roar. Because they lost so many six-star heavenly monarchs, the law enforcement realm's seventh sex vitality is also greatly damaged. Sect Master and others don't dare to go over. They're afraid that their bodies will be destroyed by the heavenly pig roar. Although they don't dare to go over, Qin Yun didn't steal the little divine Sunday. If someone else comes over, he will have to waste the talisman crystals again. He still has 5 talisman crystals in his hand. They are reserved for urgent use because they still have to attack Heavenly Emperor's city. His goal this time is to destroy Heavenly Emperor's city regardless of whether he can kill the Heavenly Sovereigns or not. He must destroy the prestige and confidence that Heavenly Divine Nation has just established. After the Heavenly Sovereigns defeated Heavenly Ghost Ancestor, they rose again and gained trust and respect. The all-heavens tyrant body that he possessed was even praised to the heavens. This time, Qin Yun must give Heavenly Divine Nation a heavy blow. This way, when the heaven sealing 10 days arrives, if anyone wants to attack the Heavenly Sword Formation, they will have to consider the consequences. Daybreak, Qin Yun looked at the 3 myriad realms' divine suns in the sky and thought, back when I was inside the Kuan Peng's body, I entered Imperial Heaven State and couldn't borrow the power of the myriad realms' divine sun. This time, I can borrow the power of the myriad realms' divine sun to attack Heavenly Emperor's city. It should be stronger than before. Qin Yun took a deep breath. He also recalled Xiekaru and Yu Shang Yun's exhortations to quickly help the 4th myriad realms' divine sun come into being. The more myriad realms' divine suns there are, the stronger he will be, and it will not be so strenuous to fight against the law enforcement realm. Heavenly Sovereigns, you have been waiting for me for a long time, right? I will go now. Qin Yun looked at the direction of Heavenly Emperor's city and then flew close to the ground. When he arrived, he learned from the sound transmission divine pearl that the law enforcement realm will send reinforcements and the 8th gate. The 8th gate? I wonder what Grandpa Heaven Extermination did to be labeled as a 10-star anti-heaven traitor. Qin Yun is very curious about this matter. He is not afraid of the 8th gate. Outside the All Heavens Empyrean city, people seem to have forgotten why they came here. They originally came to watch Qin Yun attack the All Heavens Empyrean city, but many things happened later, causing them to lose interest in Qin Yun's attack. Chapter 2555. Yu Yaoyao did not enter the All Heavens Emperor's city because she did not want to enter the territory of the All Heavens Emperors. In the 9 heavens, the All Heavens Emperors made her feel disgusted. The All Heavens Emperors stood on the city wall with his parents. Right now, he looked like a rare handsome man. At this moment, his eyes were looking at the red-haired Yu Yaoyao from time to time. In terms of looks, Yu Yaoyao was indeed very rare, especially her gorgeous red hair, as well as her unique and flirtatious pink eyes. All of them had a different kind of beauty. Her perfect face shape matched well with her red hair and pink eyes. Therefore, no matter how one looked at it, Yu Yaoyao was a very stunning and pleasing special beauty. Coupled with her powerful aura, her temperament was even more outstanding. After all, she was a beautiful and strong woman that made people want to conquer her. Yu Yaoyao stood in front of the city gates, and countless pairs of eyes swept across her body, causing her to feel a little displeased. She was paying attention to the people around her because she felt a familiar aura. She looked at Luo Yaofeng and Bai Suxin. Yu Yaoyao, who had once traveled the 9 heavens, also knew Luo Yaofeng, the 9 heavens goddess. Luo Yaofeng was one of the 9 heavens goddesses, the Shadow God King, and the female Slayer Demon. She was a very famous strong woman in the 9 heavens. Bai Suxin saw Yu Yaoyao look over and whispered, "Sister Luo, do you know her?" "I do." Luo Yaofeng nodded. "I didn't expect the dark Kuan Peng to be hers. She's much stronger than I imagined. She's a very mysterious woman." Yu Yaoyao dared to face the great Emperor Zhu Yang, the Sad Emperor, and the 7th Sect Master, so she had a certain level of strength. In addition, her mysterious dark Kuan Peng was the most terrifying. If she released the dark Kuan Peng now, it would definitely cause chaos. Emperor Yi suddenly walked to the All Heavens Emperors and pointed in a direction. Emperor's White Sun God King's daughter by Su Xin is over there. She is now a member of the Divine Moon clan. I only heard about her recently. Bai Su Xin and Luo Yaofeng were wearing masks, but they were recognized. All Heaven's venerable emperor sneered. As long as it's a woman of the Divine Moon clan, she is my woman. All Heaven's venerable sovereigns looked over and frowned. Shadow God King is also here. This woman has also joined the Mystic Moon clan, so she is also my woman. The Sky Demon Deity King cursed. Shadow God King, that bitch. I have always found her an eyesore. All Heaven's venerable sovereigns nodded, stood on the city gate and shouted, By Su Xin, Shadow God King, you are both women of the Divine Moon clan, which means you are my women. I now announce that Bai Su Xin will be given to the White Sun Elf Emperor, and Shadow God King will be given to the Sky Fey Divine King. Everyone knew that the venerable sovereigns of the various heavens regarded the Divine Moon clan as their harem, and had even said that they would bestow the women of the Divine Moon clan to their subordinates. Now, he had directly announced that he would give Bai Su Xin and Luo Yaofeng to the White Sun Elven Emperor and Heavenly Demon Divine King respectively. When they heard this, Luo Yaofeng and Bai Su Xin were livid. Heavenly Demon Divine King, White Sun Elf Emperor, these two women might be a little stubborn and need to be taught a lesson. I have already given them to you. Whether or not you can tame them is up to you. All Heaven's venerable sovereigns waved his hand and said with a smile, You guys, take them down now. All Heaven's venerable sovereigns also wanted to take advantage of this moment to add some fun, as everyone was discussing the matter of the anti-heaven thief that exceeded 10 stars. Heaven Destroyer was too powerful and seemed to far surpass all Heaven's venerable sovereigns, so it made all Heaven's venerable sovereigns very uncomfortable. Now, he also wanted to find some sense of existence. White Sun Elven Emperor and Heavenly Demon Divine King were both well-known figures in the divine realm, so they naturally did not lack women. But to them, women like Bai Su Xin and Luo Yaofeng were things they could only dream of. Yu Yao Yao frowned and muttered, This bastard is still so disgusting. She was very disgusted with the way all Heaven's venerable sovereigns did things. Once he took a fancy to a woman, he directly announced that she was his woman, not caring about other people's feelings. Su Xin, I will leave Heavenly Demon Divine King to you. Your heavenly law heart can restrain him. White Sun Elf Emperor, let me do it. Luo Yaofeng took out a pair of long blades and prepared to fight. Sister Luo, be careful of his White Devil Divine curse. Bai Su Xin warned. Got it. Luo Yaofeng was not afraid of the White Sun Elven Emperor. Everyone immediately made way for them to fight. This was a battle between divine heavenly monarchs, and they were at the Divine King level. Shadow God King and Heavenly Demon Divine King were two of the three great divine kings of the 9 heavens. White Sun Elf Emperor was also a divine king in the White Sun Divine Realm. What was shocking was that Luo Yaofeng, this woman, was actually filled with a kind of ruthlessness in an instant. The aura on her body made it seem as if she wanted to slaughter all living beings. White Sun Elf Emperor, you lackey! Luo Yaofeng shouted coldly at the White Sun Elf Emperor, who was flying over. She slashed with both of her blades, creating a violent tornado. The tornado looked like it was formed from countless blade shadows as it wrapped around the White Sun Elf Emperor. On the other side, Bai Su Xin used a white-blue divine power to fight. She did not use any weapons, and when she struck out with her palms, the force looked soft, but every palm strike caused the Heavenly Demon Divine King to let out a muffled groan. He shouted. It could be seen that Bai Su Xin's divine power made the Heavenly Demon Divine King feel extreme pain. The Heavenly Demon Divine King wore a blue crystal armor and was also very difficult to kill from the 9 heavens demon race. Only Qin Yun had the power to quickly kill them, and he mainly targeted their souls. Qin Yun had previously discussed with Bai Su Xin, so Bai Su Xin had some experience. Therefore, after fighting with the heavenly demon divine king, she was able to suppress him in an instant. These two women aren't weak at all. That white-haired woman is suppressing the heavenly demon divine king. If I'm not wrong, that should be the power of the heavenly law inheritance. She has mastered it extremely well and can restrain the 9 heavens demon race. The 7th sect master narrowed his eyes and looked at Bai. Sushin, the Shadow God King, is not weak either. I really did not expect that she could grow so quickly after starting over. She must have obtained the Divine Moon bloodline and became so strong through the heavens' Divine Moon. The tragic emperor said coldly, "The Sun Moon Heart Sutra of the Divine Moon race women is very profound. If you can cultivate the 3rd level of the Sun Moon Heart Sutra with the Divine Moon race women, not only can you enjoy the process of cultivation, you can also improve by leaps and bounds." The 7th sect master said with a smile, "Therefore, I must obtain them." The heavens' sovereign emperor's eyes were filled with greed and evil. "Son, help your subordinates appropriately. Let them quickly take down those 2 women. That way, they will be more loyal to you." Great Emperor Ju-Yang patted the heavens' sovereign emperors on the shoulder. The heavens' sovereign emperors nodded. He stretched out his hands, and 2 red energy balls condensed in his palms. They contained destructive heavenly power. He only stretched out his hand to condense power, but the world suddenly trembled and the surroundings suddenly churned. Whoosh! The heaven's sovereign emperors shot out the 2 black light balls in his palms and attacked by Sushin and Luo Yaofeng respectively. The heaven's sovereign emperors have made their move. So strong. Just a casual move of his is so terrifying. It's like he wants to destroy the world, as expected of the heavens' sovereign emperors, as expected of the heir of the heavenly way. Those 2 women are going to be taken down. After the 2 energy balls flew out, they seemed to have locked onto by Sushin and Luo Yaofeng, chasing after them. The White Sun Elven Sovereign and the Heavenly Demon Divine King secretly breathed a sigh of relief. They were very grateful to the Heaven's Sovereign Emperors. If the Heaven's Sovereign Emperors had not made their move, it would not have been so easy to take down by Sushin and Luo Yaofeng. They might even have let them escape. Luo Yaofeng and Bai Sushin were also together at this moment. They held hands and activated the Sun Moon Heart Sutra, allowing the divine power in their bodies to fuse together and form a moon shield that enveloped them. Boom! The 2 black energy balls released by the heavens' sovereign emperors struck their moon shield, causing an incomparably berserk divine power wave. Even the ground cracked from the tremors. The people in the distance were thrown into chaos by the berserk black, lightning, fiendish aura attack. The shield that Luo Yaofeng and Bai Sushin released together couldn't withstand the attack of the heaven's sovereign emperors and was completely shattered. They were also heavily injured, and their divine power aura is extremely weak. White Sun Elven Sovereign, Heavenly Demon Divine King, they are yours from now on. The heavens' sovereign emperors laughed loudly. Thank you, Sovereign. The White Sun Elven Sovereign and the Heavenly Demon Divine King hurriedly expressed their gratitude loudly and rushed towards Bai Sushin and the Heavenly Demon Divine King. At the same time, outside the Heaven Sovereign City, the people who were on good terms with Qin Yun immediately took action. They flew towards Bai Sushin and Luo Yaofeng to save them. The White Sun Elf Emperor flew the fastest. He suddenly sensed a spatial fluctuation and immediately stopped. After he stopped, he saw a valiant and handsome man wearing a cap appear. Qin Yun arrived using Void Step and grabbed the White Sun Elf Emperor's throat. He said with a sneer, "Brother E, I'm Brother Moreau. Don't you remember me? Brother Moreau?" The White Sun Elf Emperor's White Sun bloodline heavenly pattern box was swindled away by a person called Brother Moreau. He still doesn't know who Brother Moreau is, and he doesn't dare to tell the Heaven's Sovereign Emperors about this matter. Seeing the person who suddenly appeared, many people present secretly cried out in alarm. Qin Yun's friends only needed to see his back to know that Qin Yun has arrived. The people who originally wanted to help Bai Sushin and Luo Yaofeng were already halfway there. When they saw Qin Yun appear, They immediately stopped. Wang Haiyue, the bright moon sect master, narrowed his eyes. Every time he saw Qin Yun's hat, he felt his heart ache. When the heavenly evil battle god saw Qin Yun appear, he hurriedly took out the saber Qin Yun gave him and prepared to attack. Friends, I, Qin Yun, am attacking the Heaven Sovereign City. There is no need to trouble you. I can handle such a small matter by myself. Qin Yun looked coldly at the White Sun Elf Emperor. After the White Sun Elf Emperor was grabbed by the throat by Qin Yun poured a surge of divine power into him. His body was wrapped up by an invisible supergravity, making him unable to move. Qin Yun finally appeared. The entire audience erupted into a clamor of shouts, especially when he appeared and captured the White Sun Elf Emperor with one hand. Chapter 25:56. What annoyed Qin Yun the most was hearing others trying to correct him. It was as though his existence was the greatest mistake in the world. Fix me? Today, I want to see who corrects who. You bunch of things shouldn't even exist in this brand new era. Your existence is an insult to this new era. Your time is long past, and I will end you. The age of destruction. As soon as Qin Yun finished speaking, he raised his palm and slammed it towards the Elf Emperor's head. He used the 9 forms of heavenly annihilation, and his aura seemed to be able to annihilate all things. Accompanied by a vast divine power that could control the heavens, the wind and clouds swirled, and the earth shook. Boom! The palm landed on the White Sun Elf Emperor's face. Originally, Qin Yun only wanted to ruthlessly slap the Elf Emperor's face. He never expected that with a single slap, the White Sun Elf Emperor's entire head would explode. This scene caused everyone to shudder with fear and trepidation. Qin Yun was only at the sacred god realm. With a slap, he had smashed the White Sun Elf Emperor's head. This kind of power shocked everyone present, causing them to cry out in fear. Just now, in the battle between Luo Yaofeng and the White Sun Elven Emperor, although she could suppress the White Sun Elven Emperor, it was very difficult to kill the White Sun Elven Emperor. She knew that the Elven Emperor was very difficult to defeat. As for Qin Yun, it looked like he had casually smashed the White Sun Spirit Emperor's head with a single slap. This kind of strength shocked her to the extreme. Bai Suxin is also astonished. She is holding Luo Yaofeng's hand tightly. Clearly, she is very excited because of Qin Yun's appearance. They had just been injured by the Empyrean supremacies. If Qin Yun hadn't come, they would have been in a tough battle. Even if others came to help, the Empyrean supremacies would chase after them. And Qin Yun's appearance made the Empyrean supremacies feel apprehensive. The people from Empyrean City did not casually leave the city to fight. After the White Sun Fairy Emperor's head exploded, Qin Yun activated the power of the Nether Sun. Nether Sun has the ability to distort very solid things. Now, the White Sun Fairy Emperor's body has been twisted into a black bead by Qin Yun. The White Sun Elf Emperor, who had once dominated the White Sun Divine Realm, died so miserably. His head was smashed by a palm, and his body was turned into a ball. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor, who was watching from afar, exclaimed, "This Qin Yun is worthy of being a character whose name shakes the divine desolate heavens. He's only at the Saint God realm, yet he possesses such strength. If he's able to break through, then how extraordinary would he be?" Qin Yun's friends thought so as well. The most unbelievable thing was that Qin Yun's strength was still increasing even though he was clearly restricted to the 9th level of the Saint God realm. He was unable to cultivate the heavenly Tao statue to the sacred heaven realm. I've already given King of Shadows and Bai Suxin to my subordinates. Qin Yun, you stopped my subordinates from taking away their women and even killed my subordinates. Do you really think you are the divine king of the divine wilderness? Shouted the Empyrean supremacy coldly. Bastard, listen carefully. We have long been Qin Yun's women. You dog, you're not even fit to carry my husband's shoes. Luo Yaofeng said angrily. What angered her the most was that Di Zun kept saying that all the women of the Divine Moon clan were his women. The crowd burst into cheers. Luo Yaofeng and Bai Suxin were actually Qin Yun's women? Someone laughed and said, "Oh my, is the venerable sovereign's cuckolded?" All heaven's sovereign venerables also flew into a rage and shouted, "Sky Fei Divine King, go and take down those two women. I'll protect you. Even if you can't obtain them, you have to destroy them." Yes, Sky Fei Divine King saw Qin Yun's strength and felt fear in his heart. However, when he thought about how Di Zun and the rest were behind him, he was not afraid at all. "Qin Yun, no matter how strong you are, you're only at the sacred god realm. There are so many divine heaven lord experts here. You are nothing." Sky Fei Divine King laughed sinisterly as he charged towards Luo Yaofeng and Bai Suxin. Qin Yun took a step through the air and instantly arrived near Sky Fei Divine King. Following that, a terrifying and boundless supergravity pressed down. Sky Fei Divine King, who was flying at high speed, was instantly pressed down. Sky Fei Divine King, who had just fallen, was once again pushed up into the sky by gravitational force. There was gravity in the sky and on the ground. This was Qin Yun's heaven and earth unity. With the two gravitational forces' pincer attack, Sky Fei Divine King could not withstand it at all. He shouted, "Di Zun, quickly help me." All heaven's sovereign venerables did not move. He was still standing on the city gate. However, he waved his hand and released a sword that stabbed towards Qin Yun. The moment the sword appeared, it let out a shocking sword hum. It brought with it a violent wind and lightning as it whizzed towards Qin Yun. "Brother Yun, be careful. That's the All Heaven's divine sword." See how Wu Feng's expression changed as he hurriedly shouted. The divine sword of the All Heaven's sovereign venerables was indeed very powerful. Those who had cultivated an intrinsic sword could all feel the terror of the sword's might. Qin Yun pulled out his godly monarch spear and fired at the All Heaven's divine sword that was flying over. A level 2 Divine Universe golden bullet flew out. Boom! The Divine Universe golden bullet collided with the All Heaven's divine sword, producing a violent explosion and tremor. The All Heaven's divine sword was also sent flying. The divine power condensed on the sword was completely dispersed. At the same time, Qin Yun's arm transformed into a phantom saber. This was the manifestation of the divine saber Tao image, fusing with his arm. Qin Yun charged at Sky Fei Divine King. The arm with the divine saber phantom slashed horizontally at Sky Fei Divine King's waist. Whoosh! His arm transformed into a saber, but it was not sharp enough. It cleaved through Sky Fei Divine King's thick blue armor and split his body into two at the waist. "Man-eating demon, send my regards to God Monarch Jiangxian." Qin Yun sneered and said, "Don't worry. I have long killed God Monarch Jiangxian. You will not be lonely after you die." Many people knew that Qin Yun had killed God Monarch Jiangxian, and it was at that time that Qin Yun destroyed Emperor Zhu Yang's body. Thinking of this, Emperor Zhu Yang and company were infuriated. This was because God Monarch Jiangxian was a very useful person. He could help them refine a large number of excellent puppet bodies. Sky Fei Divine King roared angrily, "You can't kill me." "I can't kill you." Qin Yun pushed heaven and earth to unite with all his might. With a forceful pressure, Sky Fei Divine King's body that had been cut in two suddenly shattered. Then, the armor mixed with the flesh and bones of his body and was crushed into a large piece of flesh. This scene caused the entire place to fall silent. Everyone knew that Sky Fei Divine King's armor was very hard, but now it had been squashed flat. Sky Fei Divine King's body and armor were squashed into a meat patty. This scene would definitely be unforgettable to all the spectators. Whoosh! Qin Yun's eyes spewed fire as they shot at the large piece of flesh, burning it to ashes. The White Sun Elemental Emperor and the Sky Fei Divine King were considered quite powerful divine, heavenly lords even in the divine wilderness. They were experts that many looked up to, but now they were being beaten up and killed in 2 or 3 moves. Empyrean supremacy. You can't even protect your own dog slave. Who will work for you in the future? Luo Yaofeng said sarcastically. You want to fight my husband with that bit of strength? You are far from it. Luo Yaofeng deliberately said this to provoke the Empyrean supremacy. Furthermore, it made her feel very comfortable. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor sighed and said, Qin Yun's body and divine power are extremely powerful. I can't believe that he is only at the sacred god realm. The Empyrean supremacy's body is very strong, but he might not be stronger than Qin Yun. Why is that? Someone asked. The Empyrean supremacy's body is not his own, but Qin Yun's body was cultivated by him. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor stroked his beard and said with a smile, Qin Yun's body was formed through thousands of tempering. It was formed with his soul, Tao idol, and Xian divine veins. It is extremely good. The Empyrean supremacy does not have a body. It is only his soul that is not destroyed. The Empyrean supremacy was also filled with anger, but he did not immediately go out to fight Qin Yun, because he was not in his best condition. His body had been destroyed by Qin Yun once before. Now, he had learned his lesson. He did not dare to take Qin Yun lightly when facing him. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor, you are someone who has surpassed Divine Heaven Lord, yet you were defeated by my son. What face do you have to make irresponsible remarks here? Zhuyang Great Emperor said with a sneer. You should know best how strong my son is. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor laughed loudly and said, I don't know, but you should know that I am temporarily not used to this realm. Why get used to it? Even 10 Empyrean supremacy will not be my match. Sad Emperor coldly snorted and said, Heavenly Ghost Ancestor, shut up. The one who attacked Empyrean City today is not you. It is Qin Yun. Besides, with your strength, do you dare to attack Empyrean City? Zhuyang Great Emperor looked at Qin Yun and said in a deep voice, Qin Yun, you released the dark Kuan Peng and destroyed 9 Cloud Heaven City and Heaven Creation Divine Palace. We will settle this debt with you. Qin Yun looked at Yu Yao Yao. He was the one who had instructed Yu Yao Yao to inform the 7th Sect Master of the matter. The 7th Sect Master said angrily, Qin Yun, you 8-star heaven-defying thief. Even if Empyrean supremacy doesn't kill you, our law enforcement realm will kill you. Quickly release the soul of law enforcement, great sovereign, and I will let you die more comfortably. Yu Yao Yao was secretly alarmed. Qin Yun actually had Enforcer Supremacy's soul in his hands. She finally understood why Qin Yun had become an 8-star anti-heaven villain. He actually dared to attack Enforcer Supremacy and even captured his soul. Are you law enforcement, great sovereign? Qin Yun looked at the 7th Sect Master. Of course not. Becoming a law enforcement great sovereign is easier said than done. The 7th Sect Master said with sneer, What? Do you think law enforcement great sovereign will appear? If you weren't a law enforcement grand monarch, I wouldn't have bothered to kill you, but you think too highly of yourself. I don't know if killing you will make my star rise. Qin Yun smiled and said, That law enforcement grand sovereign you mentioned is nothing but dog shit in my eyes. What's the big deal about that lousy grand sovereign? What's so good about this kind of trash great sovereign? You wait. The 7th Sect Master said angrily. Qin Yun, Emperor Rampage is in your hands, right? Quickly release him. Zhuyang Great Emperor shouted angrily. Qin Yun immediately took out Emperor Rampage's head and said with chuckle, This is your Emperor Rampage. While speaking, he released gravity and twisted Emperor Rampage's head and crushed it into a ball. Emperor Rampage's soul has been sealed inside the soul creation heavenly cauldron. Only his head is left. Among the 10 images, there was bound to be an image of the heavenly Tao. Moreover, it was an evolved image. Once the heavenly Tao image evolved into the saintly heavenly Tao image, its power could be imagined. Qin Yun looked at the largest of the 10 sacred tribulation gates. His imperial heaven heart suddenly started beating crazily. He became very excited and excited. This guy's heavenly Tao image has already reached the large success stage of sacred transformation. My heavenly Tao image is simply unable to evolve. I don't need any heavenly Tao image. I just need to cultivate the heavenly Tao image. Qin Yin suddenly realized something. The supremacy sovereigns in front of him possessed a powerful heavenly Tao image. As long as he defeated the supremacy sovereigns, he would be able to cultivate the heavenly Tao image. This was an opportunity to break through. Xiao Yun, after you defeat the supremacy sovereigns, you will definitely be besieged. If you defeat the supremacy sovereigns and cultivate the heavenly Tao image, the 10 images will reach the large success stage of sacred transformation, and you will be able to step into the Tao God realm. At that time, even if you are besieged, you will still be fearless. Qin Yin also thought the same. He suddenly recalled why he was able to obtain the Imperial Heaven Heart from the 9-Sun Divine Soul, why he had the Imperial Heaven diagram, which allowed him to comprehend his own Imperial Heaven Divine Art. All of this was arranged by the former Heavenly Tao. The former Heavenly Tao and Heaven Extermination participated in the creation of Qin Yun. In a sense, Qin Yun was their descendant. Therefore, Heaven Extermination and Heavenly Tao secretly arranged everything to nurture a person who could control the heavens. In this way, the supremacy sovereigns were Qin Yun's stepping stones, and the supremacy sovereigns were the real tools. Because only people who follow the rules of the Heavenly Tao can achieve the large success stage of sacred transformation. The supremacy sovereign's Heavenly Tao image has reached the large success stage of sacred transformation. As long as Qin Yun devours the supremacy sovereigns, he can truly step into the Tao of Imperial Heaven. At this moment, Qin Yun is filled with admiration towards the Heavenly Tao, because he, Qin Yun, was originally destined to become a tool, destined to be devoured by the supremacy sovereigns. But after the Heavenly Tao secretly changed, the supremacy sovereigns became tools and will help Qin Yun complete the first stage of the Tao of Imperial Heaven. Qin Yun, do you see it? These are the real 10 Tao images. Your Tao image is very strong, but your Heavenly Tao image is dead. Your Heavenly Tao image cannot achieve the large success stage of sacred transformation. Great Emperor Zhu Yang laughed loudly and said, "Only the Heavenly Tao inheritance bestowed upon the divine heaven. Only the Heavenly Tao image can achieve the large success stage of sacred transformation." Qin Yun, are you scared silly by my child's Heavenly Tao image? This is very normal. This is the true person chosen by the heavens, the true successor of the Heavenly Tao. He is the heavens. Great Emperor, sorrowful emotion, laughed proudly. Siekaru said that she could help Qin Yun cultivate the Heavenly Tao image. She might really have a way to do it, but what she did not know is that Qin Yun's cultivation path is already beyond her imagination. Qin Yun does not need the Heavenly Tao image at all. What he wants is the Imperial Heaven Tao image, an unprecedented and unique Tao image. As long as he cultivates the Imperial Heaven Tao image, his Tao of Imperial Heaven will have reached small success. Qin Yun was not scared out of his wits. Instead, he suddenly realized many things. He knows that this moment is of the utmost importance to him. Whether or not he can defeat the supremacy sovereigns will determine whether or not he can create his own Tao of Imperial Heaven. This opportunity is very important. It can be said that if he misses it, his cultivation path will stop here. If the supremacy sovereigns are defeated and run away, it will be very difficult for him to have this kind of opportunity again. In addition, it is also very difficult for Qin Yun to devour the Heavenly Tao image of the supremacy sovereigns. The Tao image is already connected with the souls of the supremacy sovereigns. He must devour the souls of the supremacy sovereigns. The souls of the Divine Sun descendants cannot be devoured. Qin Yun tried using the Nether Sun before. However, Qin Yun has a way. He can use the soul lost due to erase the memories of the supremacy sovereigns. Then he can capture their souls and fuse them with his Heavenly Tao image to cultivate. The supremacy sovereigns are floating in the sky. The 10 tribulation gates behind them are huge and majestic. They are ferocious and overbearing. Their auras set off a gale and let out mighty roars. Shun Tianjuan's sacred tribulation gate, and Tao image far surpass a sacred god like you. Even if you borrow the power of the myriad realms' divine sun, you are still far from being my match. The Supremacy Sovereign's aura is even stronger now because he saw that Qin Yun is not doing anything. Qin Yun is scared out of his wits. Is that your heavenly tyrant body? It doesn't look like much. Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye. His heavenly eye has already turned red. The evil and extreme devil power is crazily filling his body. This is his second time using it. He is much more familiar with it than before. He can even completely suppress and restrain the evil and extreme devil power, causing his aura to be restrained. Only his body is overflowing with a weak black-red evil energy. Everyone quickly look at Qin Yun. This is a sign of him turning black. This person's cultivation is low, but his strength is very strong. It is very likely that he used some kind of vicious evil technique to make himself stronger. Zhu Yang, great emperor, shouted. He looks very excited. Qin Yun has already turned into a devil, and he also has the divine king heavenly seal. To the entire divine desolate, he is a disaster. If the supremacy sovereigns kill Qin Yun, divine desolate will be able to escape from this devil's hands. Sad Emotion, great emperor, is also very excited and shouted. When they created Qin Yun's soul, they branded the heavenly devil divine sun and heavenly evil divine sun's sun soul and sun soul. Now, after Qin Yun turned black, the black-red evil aura on his body has the aura of the heavenly devil divine sun and heavenly evil divine sun. Even people far away can feel the dreadful evil aura on Qin Yun's body. Damn it! This is the power of the heavenly devil divine sun and heavenly evil divine sun. How can Qin Yun have this kind of thing? The heavenly devil divine sun and heavenly evil divine sun have already been exterminated. Once someone touches this kind of divine power, they will fall into the devil Tao. Wang Haoyue's expression became somewhat unsightly. Even the heavenly altar had shifted a great distance away from him. Sun Dragon race and Heavenly Lion race's race emperors from the myriad world's divine sun land also have expressions of regret. Qin Yun should not have sold his soul to pursue power. Once the evil devil divine sun power is introduced, his soul will no longer belong to him. Strong is strong, but what use is that? Sun Dragon race and Heavenly Lion race's emperors brought their juniors far away. They are very clear about the evil power of the heavenly devil divine sun and heavenly evil divine Sunday. People who possess the power of the heavenly devil divine sun and heavenly evil divine sun are people that the heavenly law Tao orthodoxy must eliminate. Seventh Sect Master said coldly. There are many people who know about the heavenly devil divine sun and heavenly evil divine sun, especially those divine heavenly monarchs. Bai Suxin came from the white sun divine world and cultivated the white divine Sunday. Therefore, she is very clear about how dreadful the heavenly devil divine sun and heavenly evil divine sun are. Seeing Qin Yun's current appearance, she is extremely sad. Suxin, let's retreat. Brother Yun will be fine. Believe in him. Luo Yaofeng has not known Qin Yun for long, but she knows his soul very well. Otherwise, she would not have given her bloodline heavenly rune to Qin Yun. Tribulation Gate, open. All heaven's venerables also know that this is the best time to kill Qin Yun. If they kill the evil devil Qin Yun, all heaven's venerables will be praised by divine desolate. All heaven's venerables' sacred tribulation gate opened. A sacred heavenly might rushed out of the 10 tribulation gates and entered all heaven's venerables' bodies. The tribulation gate also entered all heaven's venerables' overlord body. In an instant, all heaven's venerables' bodies became even stronger. Their eyes shot out blue light rays. Their bodies shone with blue light rays, making them look even more sacred and mighty. Chapter 25:58. The all heaven's venerable emperor's strength had increased tremendously. His entire body was filled with powerful heavenly power. He had 10 Tao images and 10 Xian divine veins. His Xian divine veins could obtain even more heavenly power, seeing the all-heavens venerable emperor's strength increase so much. Those who had retreated a moment ago retreated a little further. Whether it was Qin Yun or the all-heavens venerable emperors, every bit of divine power they released during battle was very powerful. Those who were weaker might even be injured by the aftershocks of their battle. Especially Qin Yun's current state. He was like an evil demon. If a battle broke out, the aftershocks would be very shocking. Qin Yun's hair was emitting a black-red evil qi, making him look like his long black and red hair was dancing in the wind. The black evil qi completely covered his heaven hat, making it look like his hair was dancing wildly. It made the evil aura around him even more terrifying. His eyes were bloodshot, and there was not a trace of humanity in them. Even from afar, those who met his eyes would shudder. Qin Yun's eyes were filled with evil, ferocity, bloodlust, brutality. He looked like he was born for destruction, gathering all kinds of evil in him. Is he really going to go against the heavenly rule orthodoxy? Mog stood on the heavenly Tao altar, looking at Qin Yun worriedly. According to the records of the heavenly rule orthodoxy, Qin Yun is a peerless evil demon. The all-heavens venerable emperors killed Qin Yun and obtained the divine King Heavenly Seal. The heavenly rule orthodoxy conferred him as the new heavenly Tao. Heaven Tao Z snorted. This can't be true. It can't be. Seeing Qin Yun's current state, Emperor Zhu Yang and Emperor Sorrow were excited. The seventh sect master also laughed. Once the heavenly rule orthodoxy's fate is determined, no one can change it. What is happening now is determined by the heavenly rule orthodoxy. Although there have been many deviations before, the result has not changed. Qin Yun had escaped from the all-heavens venerable emperors many times and even destroyed their bodies, causing many to question the heavenly rule orthodoxy. The heavenly rule orthodoxy had determined that Qin Yun would eventually turn into an evil demon and die at the hands of the all-heavens venerable emperors. Everything seemed to be coming true soon. Bai Suxin held Luo Yaofeng's hand tightly with a solemn expression. Luo Yaofeng was very confident in Qin Yun, but at that moment, he was somewhat shaken. That's because the peerless demonic aura on Qin Yun's body is too frightening. At this moment, even his friends did not recognize him. Empyrean Supremacy said in a deep voice, "Seventh Sect Master, I will be the one to end Qin Yun's lowly life. Please don't attack. He still has the law enforcement Grand Exalt soul." The Seventh Sect Master frowned, and then he nodded and said, "All right, I'll leave everything to you. That law enforcement great sovereign is the mother of the tragic heavenly emperor, but the Empyreans don't care about that. In his eyes, killing Qin Yun is the most important thing." Heavenly Emperor Sorrow Emotion nodded and said, "Child, after you finish Qin Yun, we will have a way to retrieve my mother's soul." The myriad heavens divine sword in all heavens venerable sovereign's hands issued a crisp sword cry. A heavenly might turned into a blue wave that rippled in all directions. The spectators in the distance hurriedly circulated their cultivation to resist it. Just the sword momentum alone was already so powerful. Qin Yun, your fate has long been sealed. Everything you've done before was just to linger on with your last breath. Your lowly life is mine. All heaven's venerables rushed towards Qin Yun as soon as they finished speaking. The godly king heavenly seal in Qin Yun's hand has long been put away by him, because from his point of view, there is no need to use the godly king heavenly seal now. His enemies were not only the heavenly sovereigns, but also the heaven-creating divine palace and the law enforcer world. Especially the seventh sect master of the law enforcement world and the eighth sect master who was on his way. The mighty heavenly might of all heaven's supremacies was filled with rage. It was also because Luo Yaofeng and Bai Suxin were Qin Yun's women. Back then, when he was in the nine heavens, he was the nine heavens supremacy, but Luo Yaofeng, the shadow god king, ignored him. What infuriated him the most was that he had pursued Yu Yaoyao, But the way Yu Yaoyao looked at him and Qin Yun was different. This suddenly made all the venerable sovereigns feel that he was not the true heaven's chosen one, because those outstanding women did not revolve around him. In fact, they were filled with hatred for him. The all-heaven's divine sword stabbed forward, and an incomparably violent sword aura surged. It was as if the heavens and earth were collapsing. Countless lightning bolts descended from the sky and enveloped Qin Yun. In an instant, the heavenly sovereigns were in front of Qin Yun. The all-heaven's divine sword stabbed at Qin Yun's forehead like lightning. With this kind of power, it could even penetrate the incomparably rigid heavenly crystal, much less a body of flesh and blood. However, just as the sword was about to pierce through, it stopped abruptly. Everyone held their breath as they watched the attack of the heavenly sovereigns. When they saw the all-heaven's divine sword stop in between Qin Yun's eyebrows, they all drew a cold gasp. Even with the full strength of the heavenly sovereigns, the all-out attack failed to stab Qin Yun to death. What was most shocking was that there was a tiny black vortex between Qin Yun's eyebrows. No one knew what it was. The tip of the all-heaven's divine sword happened to be aimed at the tiny black vortex between Qin Yun's eyebrows. When all-heaven venerable sovereigns stabbed with his sword, he felt as if his sword had stabbed into an invisible shield with elasticity, which made him secretly apprehensive. "Die!" the heavenly sovereigns roared. The all-heaven's divine sword shone brightly. The sword's hum was like a heavenly howl, and it shot out lightning bolts. The all-heaven's divine sword suddenly stabbed a few inches into the tiny black vortex between Qin Yun's eyebrows. Qin Yun is dead. The new heavenly Tao is complete. Emperor Zhu Yang suddenly let out a long cry. Congratulations to the heavenly sovereigns for becoming the new heavenly Tao. The illusion race's clan emperor laughed heartily. The all-heaven's divine sword was extremely powerful. If the sword pierced through the head, one soul would definitely scatter. Therefore, at this moment, most people believed that Qin Yun was finished. Bai Suxin even shed sad tears. She gritted her teeth as her heart throbbed in pain. Is he really dead? Luo Yaofeng's delicate body also swayed as she looked at the distant Qin Yun whose head had been pierced by the sword. Ming Yunyue suddenly felt an inexplicable sadness. She bit her lip and let out a long sigh. The heavenly sovereigns were originally very excited, but what made his heart tremble was that he could not control the all-heaven's divine sword in his hand. The tiny black vortex between Qin Yun's eyebrows had an extremely terrifying devouring power. It was slowly devouring the all-heaven's divine sword. Just as everyone was sighing in regret, they suddenly saw the sword in the heavenly sovereign's hand constantly stabbing into Qin Yun's head. Strangely, the sword never penetrated Qin Yun's head. The tiny black vortex between Qin Yun's eyebrows was like a bottomless pit. Qin Yun's eyes suddenly flashed with an evil and enchanting red light. After the heavenly sovereigns let out a cry, the body of his all-heavens divine sword completely sank into the tiny vortex on Qin Yun's forehead, leaving only the sword hilt. What made everyone dumbfounded and chilled was that even the sword hilt of the all-heavens divine sword was eventually devoured by the tiny vortex on Qin Yun's forehead. The all-heavens divine sword was gone. Not only did the heavenly sovereigns fail to kill Qin Yun, the powerful all-heavens divine sword also disappeared into Qin Yun's head. The whole place was silent to the extreme. Even the venerable sovereigns in the heavens suddenly felt an uncontrollable fear in their hearts. What did Qin Yun do? He actually used his head to devour such a powerful all-heavens divine sword. The all-heavens divine sword was not water. It was a divine weapon from the divine desolate land. At this moment, Qin Yun's devouring power with Nether Sun was even more overbearing. Even the all-heavens divine sword was dissolved into energy by his Nether Sun Day. This energy was then injected into the divine saber Tao idol. Qin Yun, this evil devil, his evil art is too strong. Great Emperor Zhu Yang also shouted in panic. Everyone, we need to get ready. This is the critical moment We need to act as soon as possible. The seventh sect master was originally sitting on a chair, but now he had no choice but to stand up. His expression was very solemn. As the seventh sect master, he naturally knew how powerful the All Heaven's divine sword was. It was a very difficult and indestructible weapon, but now it was devoured by a person's head. If they didn't see it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed it to be true. After Qin Yin entered the black state, he didn't speak much. But now he suddenly spoke in a very calm voice. You are not my true enemy. You are not worthy to be my enemy. Although his voice was very calm, his aura was indescribable. The heavenly sovereigns in front of Qin Yin were people who possessed the heavenly Tao idol and had even evolved to sacred heaven. That heavenly power was so powerful, but now it was overshadowed by Qin Yin. No one knew what kind of power produced that aura. They only knew that it was very terrifying. That was the power of Imperial Heaven. Only Qin Yin could control it. Damn evil devil. The heavenly sovereigns are very angry, but they also have an indescribable fear in their hearts. His fists were condensing violent heavenly power. Countless thunder and lightning surged from behind him and entered his body, causing his fists to explode with thunder and lightning. The heavenly sovereigns are descendants of the divine sun. Their souls are immortal, so they have never been afraid of death. Fear is a very strange feeling to them, especially this kind of fear that comes from death. Everyone is also very shocked, especially those heavenly sovereigns. They all thought that Qin Yin had completely fallen into the devil Tao and had lost his own consciousness. His soul had turned into an evil devil, no longer a human, but an evil devil incarnation. But from Qin Yun's voice just now, he didn't sound like an evil devil at all. Your lowly life is destined to be taken by me. The heavenly sovereigns roared furiously and punched Qin Yun's body. Qin Yun's palms, like black heavenly lion claws, suddenly grabbed the heavenly sovereign's fists and vigorously squeezed. Boom! The heavenly sovereigns punched. The moment the violent thunder and lightning erupted, the fists were also crushed by Qin Yun. After the glaring thunder and lightning disappeared, everyone only saw the heavenly sovereign's fists dripping with blood. They were actually crushed to pieces. The fists condensed by the heavenly tyrant body were actually so fragile. Chapter 25:59. Although all heaven tyrant body is very strong, all heaven venerable emperors are unable to dig out the body's formidable potential. No matter how strong the body is, it still needs formidable power to perfectly coordinate with it. Heavenly power of all heaven venerable emperors is very strong, but if it is not compatible with the body, it will cause the body, Tao idol, mysterious divine veins, and divine power to produce many gaps. These gaps are very fatal. For example, when Qin Yin grabbed Empyrean Supremacy's fists and injected his Imperial Heaven divine power into the gaps in his body, he was able to strike the insides of Empyrean Overlord body and spread it outwards, easily destroying the powerful flesh, blood, and bones. Qin Yin also had this kind of fatal weakness before. It is mainly because his cultivation increased too fast that he couldn't harmonize with his body. But after he and Yi Yaoshua used mysterious fusion heavenly rune to nourish his body, every part of his body has perfectly harmonized. In Divine Moon Heaven City, he cultivated Sun and Moonheart Sutra with Yi Yaoshua from time to time. With her help, he was able to repair this fatal weakness. You, all heaven venerable emperors, are both startled and angry looking at his fists that have been crushed. It is unknown whether he is afraid or not. He is actually unable to speak. Just as Heavenly Ghost Ancestor said, Qin Yun's body is his, and all heaven venerable emperor's body is not. This is not a good thing for all heaven venerable emperors. Do you really think I am a tool? You're wrong. You're the tool. Qin Yun laughed loudly and released supergravity, enveloping a large area. The ground covered by his supergravity suddenly sunk down by several meters. Even the space around it started fluctuating due to the dreadful gravity. This caused the gravity domain to look crooked from outside. The space has been distorted by the extremely strong gravity. It looks like it will collapse at any time. We should quickly go, Zhu Great Emperor shouted in alarm. He is not too worried about all heaven venerable emperors because the souls of divine sun descendants are undying and indestructible. Zhu Great Emperor and Seventh Sect Master already flew out of all heaven emperor city's barrier and rushed towards Qingyun. Qingyun's gravity domain caused space to distort and fluctuate. Several powerful divine heaven monarchs rushed towards the gravity domain, but were repelled by a very strong gravity wave. Even the tragic emperor and the other elders of the heaven-creating divine palace were unable to enter the terrifying gravity field. From afar, everyone could only see the scenery outside the All Heavens Emperor City twisting and turning, like ripples in a calm lake. However, they could still clearly see that the handsome face of the All Heavens Venerable Sovereigns was completely distorted within the domain. His originally fair and handsome face was now covered in black qi, and thick and malevolent veins popped up on the surface of his skin. Qingyun, I will fix you. All Heaven's Venerable Sovereigns roared ferociously. I am immortal. Don't even think about killing me. At this moment, the Empyrean supremacy looked much more evil than Qingyun. Although Qingyun's entire body is filled with an evil aura, his calm voice is filled with righteousness. It makes people feel that he is calmly suppressing an extremely evil and devilish power. The bodies of the venerable sovereigns were enveloped by gravity from all directions. The invisible gravity was like a millstone, madly spinning and grinding the sovereign emperors, causing them unbearable pain. I didn't expect that you also have a demon barrier deep in your heart, Qingyun said with a smile. And you can't conquer your heart demon. Zhu and Tragic Emperor were extremely anxious at this moment. They also didn't expect that the Empyrean sovereigns could also be evil. Qingyun opened his eyes and saw many things. He was secretly shocked. This guy actually has the heavenly devil divine sun and heavenly evil divine sun seeds in his body. It is really inconceivable. Could it be that when the soul of the divine sun descendant is evil to the extreme, it will give birth to heavenly evil? Divine sun and heavenly devil divine sun? At this moment, the sun seeds in the Empyrean sovereigns' bodies are releasing evil power, completely devouring all the Empyrean sovereigns. Sorry, this guy's soul is mine. Everything he has is mine. Qingyun will never allow the souls of the Empyrean sovereigns to be devoured by evil, because it is very important to him. He reached out with both hands and pierced into the heart and abdomen of the Empyrean sovereigns. His hands grabbed a red and dark red object respectively. They were the two sun seeds. After grabbing the sun seeds, Qingyun used the Imperial Heaven Divine Art to erase the sun seed's consciousness and seal it so that he can create a divine sun in the future. The Empyrean sovereigns roared, and 10 sacred tribulation gates appeared behind him. His 10 sacred tribulation gates suddenly fused together into one. Then, the tribulation gate opened and majestic heavenly power rushed out. This is heavenly power. Qingyun, you are no match for the heavens. The Empyrean sovereigns roared angrily. At this moment, he is in an extremely frightening state. What I want is your heavens. Qingyun's back shook and a sacred tribulation gate appeared. His tribulation gate is pitch black and incomparably huge. It is so tall that the top cannot be seen. It is like a giant wall that separates the sky and earth. When the gate opened, a giant whirlpool appeared inside the gate. The violent, devouring power roared like a giant Taodai beast opening its mouth. The tribulation gate of the Empyrean sovereigns was pitifully small in front of Qingyun's tribulation gate. It was like a small boat that was sucked into the giant whirlpool in the sea and instantly devoured without a trace. Child, quickly abandon your body and run. Great Emperor Zhu shouted. However, at this moment, the enlarged soul creation heavenly cauldron fell down and covered the body of the Empyrean sovereigns. It's the soul creation heavenly cauldron, damn it. Great Emperor Sorrow shouted in shock and anger. The soul creation heavenly cauldron was created by the former heavenly Tao. Qin Yun's soul was also created by this soul creation heavenly cauldron. Later, it was modified by the former heavenly Tao and could be used to trap the descendants of the divine sun god. Great Emperor Zhu Yang and the descendants of the divine sun god have been searching for this soul creation heavenly cauldron because it was a great threat to them. It was true that the souls of the Empyrean sovereigns could not be destroyed. But now, it was captured by Qin Yun. The most shocking thing was that the 10 Tao images of the Empyrean sovereigns were all devoured by Qin Yun. The Heavenly Rules Tao orthodoxy said that Qin Yun would be killed and devoured by the Empyrean sovereigns. But now, it was the Empyrean sovereigns who were killed and devoured instead. The so-called Heavenly Rules Tao orthodoxy was once again questioned. The seventh sect master and the others were still attacking the gravity domain. The Empyrean sovereigns were finished. Everyone was still in disbelief when they saw Qin Yun put away the incomparably huge sacred tribulation gate. The Empyrean sovereigns who ran amok in the divine wilderness was gone, just like that. The divine kingdom was known as the strongest in the divine wilderness and claimed that every inch of the divine wilderness belonged to the divine kingdom. It was also because of the Empyrean sovereigns that the divine kingdom dared to be so arrogant. After all, the Empyrean sovereigns were destined to be the future divine kings, destined to be the inheritors of the heavenly Tao. But now they were gone just like that. What heavenly rules Tao orthodoxy? They were all fake and could be broken. What predetermined fate? Those were all fleeting clouds. As long as one was strong enough, he could defy the heavens and change his fate. He is no longer Qin Yun. He is the evilest existence in this world. Everyone, hurry up and work together to help us annihilate this evil demon. The seventh sect master shouted, I am the seventh sect master of the law enforcement realm. You must believe my words. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable. Otherwise, Qin Yun has already devoured the Tao images of the Empyrean sovereigns and is cultivating his own heavenly Tao image. He only lacked this Tao image to be able to complete all 10 Tao images. At that time, he will be able to step into the Tao God realm. At the Tao God realm, he can even face 7 or 8-star celestial heavenly monarchs. As Qin Yun released the gravity domain, he quickly refined the heavenly Tao image. Whether or not the heavenly Tao image can succeed depends on this moment. Miss you, quickly release your Kuan Peng and devour this demon and trap him inside its belly. The seventh sect master hastily shouted. Yu Yaoyao was also frightened by what Qin Yun just did. She saw Qin Yun's massacre inside the Kuan Peng's belly, but it was not as terrifying as it is now. Is Qin Yun really Qin Yun? Has his body and soul been invaded by the evil demon? This is the doubt in many people's minds. But only Yu Yaoyao knows that Qin Yun has entered this state before, but he could immediately recover. Thinking of this, she is even more shocked because there is actually someone who can suppress the supreme evil demon power of heavenly evil divine sun and heavenly devil divine sun. Yu Yaoyao ran even further because everyone can see that Qin Yun is cultivating and might break through at any time. Qin Yun is stuck at the last threshold of the Saint God realm. Now that he has defeated the Empyrean sovereigns and devoured the heavenly Tao image, he will definitely break through. How strong will Qin Yun be after stepping into the Tao God realm? No one knows, so no one dares to provoke Qin Yun. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor sighed and said, the old era is over. In the new era, there will no longer be a heavenly Tao. No power can interfere with the operation of the divine desolate. Tian Daozi and the others heaved a long sigh because Qin Yun has not been invaded by the evil demon. Instead, he is suppressing it. The most anxious people are the seventh sect master and the others. Qin Yun has taken down the Empyrean sovereigns in front of them. It made them lose all face. One must know that the law enforcement world and the heaven creation divine palace have always been regarded as the highest ruling level of the divine desolate. Now, they have been single-handedly defeated by Qin Yun, and they can't even break through the domain released by Qin Yun. In the distant sky, more than 8,000 little divine suns are floating. They were so shocking before, but now, compared to Qin Yun, they seem to be overshadowed, making people feel that they are nothing more than this. Above the little divine sun, space suddenly fluctuated and a spatial passage appeared. Great! The 8th sect has come to support. The 7th sect master is overjoyed and shouted, Qin Yun, no matter how strong you are now, you will be corrected by our law enforcement world. Just you wait. In a few days, you will know how powerful we are. Are you talking about heaven sealing 10 suns? Qin Yun said with a sneer. Chapter 2560. Seeing Qin Yun's attack, the 7th sect master, Great Emperor Sorrow, Great Emperor Juyong, and the other 2 great emperors of the heaven-creating divine palace changed their expressions. Like frightened mice, they suddenly rushed into the all-heavens Emperor City's barrier. It was already very embarrassing that they couldn't break Qin Yun's supergravity domain, but now they were frightened by Qin Yun's finger. It was even more ridiculous. Qin Yun's finger was the sky piercer and space piercer of the heaven-severing 9 fingers. The power of the space piercer finger pierced through space, broke through the all-heavens Emperor City's barrier, and hit the 7th sect master. This sudden attack caught the 7th sect master unprepared. No one had expected that Qin Yun would be able to free up his hands to attack in such a state. The black-red finger power was like an intermittent light beam, passing through space, passing through several barriers, and instantly hit the 7th sect master's body. Bang! The finger power landed on the 7th sect master's lower left abdomen, producing an explosive sound. Although it couldn't penetrate the 7th sect master's body, it shattered his armor. What was shocking was that the 7th sect master's lower left abdomen was blasted into a bloody mess. The flesh was 9-colored and overflowed with a faint 9-color glow. Yu Yao Yao saw this and snorted, because the 7th sect master's body was made from the flesh of the dark Kuan Peng. Her dark Kuan Peng came to the all-heavens divine wilderness and obtained the divine power bestowed by the myriad worlds divine Sunday. Although it was a dark Kuan Peng, it cultivated the 9-color divine power of the divine sun, so its flesh was 9-colored. Qin Yun, you damned anti-heaven-defying thief. We, the law enforcement world, will not rest until you are dead. The 7th sect master shouted furiously. The people of the 7th sect were also alarmed at this moment. After all, they were very clear about their 7th sect master's strength, but now he was being suppressed to the point where he could only shout and shout, unable to fight back. In fact, this was mainly because the 10 strongest 6-star heavenly lords the 7th sect had sent were all killed in battle, so the 7th sect didn't have many experts they could send out. The 7th sect master was at most a 6-star heavenly lord, and his strength was about the same as the sovereigns of the heavens. Even the sovereigns of the various heavens were no match for Qin Yun. Naturally, the 7th sect master was no match for Qin Yun. After all, their bodies were too weak. They could not withstand Qin Yun's violent and evil extreme, fiendish divine power. Perhaps only a 7 or 8-star heavenly lord could suppress Qin Yun. Of course, if Qin Yun broke through and stepped into the Tao God realm, only the 9-star and 10-star Shintian Jun would be able to fight Qin Yun. Brothers of the 8th sect, you've finally arrived. The 7th sect leader shouted as he looked into the distance. A majestic mist was surging towards them. The people of the 8th sect of the law enforcement realm arrived on clouds. Their momentum was as if there were countless huge mountains pressing down on them. They immediately realized that Qin Yun is a great threat. After arriving, they charged into Qin Yun's gravity domain. The pressure on Qin Yun was not small. He abruptly strengthened his gravity domain and shrunk its range, forming a black air barrier that enveloped an area of tens of meters around him. The people of the 8th sect of the law enforcement realm condensed divine power from afar and unleashed powerful divine techniques to attack Qin Yun from all directions. All kinds of lightning, flames, meteorites, and so on were released by powerful divine techniques. They were so powerful that the area outside the Heaven's Emperor city was immediately covered by all kinds of violent divine power. Flames and lightning surged violently, spewing out flames, and all kinds of rocks flew in all directions. The scene was very shocking and spectacular. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor was watching from afar as if he wanted to help, but he did not have enough confidence. Continue to attack. Don't let him break through. The 7th Sect Master suddenly shouted, 8th Sect Master, this child is Qin Yun. He has already defeated the sovereigns of the various heavens. Before, he was an 8-star anti-heaven bandit. After this, he will definitely become a 9-star anti-heaven bandit. As long as they could take down this level of anti-heaven bandit, they would definitely get rich rewards when they return. After the 8th Sect Master heard this, they attacked even harder. 9 Sun Dragon altars appeared inside Qin Yun's domain. He opened the 9 Dragon Heavenly Origin Formation. If it was only his own domain, it would be very difficult to sustain it. Now with the addition of the 9 Dragon Heavenly Origin Formation, the domain has become even more stable. Qin Yun has no choice but to borrow the power of 3 myriad realms divine suns through the Divine King Heavenly Seal to strengthen the 9 Dragon Heavenly Origin Formation. He must hold on until he breaks through. In this kind of situation, he is unable to concentrate on fighting, and his cultivation of the Imperial Heaven Tao image has entered a very critical moment. 3 myriad realms divine suns in the sky suddenly shot down intense light, rays that landed inside Qin Yun's domain and were drawn into the 9 altars. The black barrier that originally enveloped Qin Yun suddenly turned golden and dazzling, releasing intense sunlight. At the same time, it also fluctuated with light waves. The people who were attacking were shaken by the light waves and could not help but fly backwards, but they are not seriously injured. 7th Sect Master, we will use the Myriad Suns formation to break his defense, the 8th Sect Master shouted. Not enough Myriad Suns. Only 8,000 left. The 7th Sect Master's expression changed when he mentioned this matter. He said, Heaven Destroyer is nearby. We must be careful. It was Heaven Destroyer who stole our 2,000 little divine sons. The 8th Sect Master and others are extremely alarmed when they heard this news. Heaven Destroyer is actually in the Divine Desolate. Isn't he in the Ancient Desolate? The 8th Sect Master is floating in the distance. His hands are forming seals. He is using an even stronger divine technique. He asked, 7th Sect Master, are you sure? It's his heavenly pig roar that destroyed the body of my 6-star Heavenly Lord squad. How can it be wrong? The 7th Sect Master suddenly became very vigilant. He is worried that Heaven Destroyer will attack at this moment. As the 8th Sect Master's hands are forming seals, the little divine sun in the sky also flickered with intense light rays. The law enforcement realm's little divine sun is not unique to the 7th Sect. Other Sect Masters can use it. Qin Yun immediately sensed a formidable energy fluctuation in the sky. Those little divine suns are gathering divine power. Xiao Yun, you must be careful. Ling Yuner said, these idiots want to use divine sun's divine power to attack the sun god? Truly ridiculous. Qin Yun sneered and took out the Divine King Heavenly Seal. After the Divine King Heavenly Seal became bigger, it floated above Qin Yun. The Heavenly Seal is like a huge human statue. It looks exactly the same as Qin Yun. This Divine King Heavenly Seal was born because of him. In the myriad heavens Divine Desolate, Qin Yun's Divine King Heavenly Seal is very useful, and it was originally evolved from the sun god deity position. Thousands of little divine suns in the sky slowly rotated above Qin Yun and turned into a whirlpool. And in the center of the whirlpool, boundless divine sun power is brewing. After Zhu Yang, Great Emperor, saw this, he shouted in pleasant surprise, Great! This great formation can block the divine power of the myriad realms' divine suns. Qin Yun borrowed the divine power of 3 myriad realms divine suns before, But now that divine power has been blocked by the great formation formed by thousands of divine suns, and even absorbed by the formation. These naive guys. Qin Yun is not the least bit afraid. He is very calm inside the domain. On one hand, he is building the imperial heavenly Tao image. On the other hand, he is controlling the divine King Heavenly Seal to sense the divine sun power of heaven and earth. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor, who is watching from afar, said in a deep voice, "This situation is very unfavorable for Qin Yun. There are many powerful divine heavenly monarchs in the 8th sect, at least 15 6-star divine heavenly monarchs, and the 8th sect master is a 7-star divine heavenly monarch. Wang Haoyue is not far from Heavenly Ghost Ancestor," she said. "This 8th sect master is much more reliable than 7th sect master." Imperial Yao Yao snorted coldly. "These bastards' bodies are made from the flesh and blood of Dark Kuan Peng. The 18th sect is the strongest among the 18 sects of the law enforcement world. The 7th and 8th sects are only third-rate in the law enforcement world. Kuan Peng flesh and bones are wasted on these third-rate goods. What a waste." She has been paying attention to the bodies of the 8th sect people, and sure enough, many of them have the aura of Dark Kuan Peng flesh and blood. Everyone can see that Heavenly Ghost Ancestor wants to take action. After all, Qin Yun destroyed the powerful Myriad Heavens tyrant body of the Myriad Heavens Supremes and captured their souls. Qin Yun's breakthrough is imminent. Once he breaks through, it will be very difficult to suppress him. The opening of the Divine Wilderness Great Era was also driven by Qin Yun. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor was hesitating whether or not he should help Qin Yun. As long as Qin Yun could survive this, his future would be limitless. He might even become the leader of the Divine Desolate Era. Although Heavenly Ghost Ancestor's cultivation had surpassed Lord Shintian's, he was very confused about the new realm, causing him to be unable to dig out his powerful strength. He saw that Qin Yun's Tao was able to produce such powerful divine power, which meant that Qin Yun's perception was extremely high. In this regard, Heavenly Ghost Ancestor was no match for Qin Yun. Luo Yao Feng and Bai Suxin suddenly flew to Heavenly Ghost Ancestor. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor, just to stir the people of the 8th gate. How could Luo Yao Feng not see through Heavenly Ghost Ancestor's thoughts? He said, "You have stepped into a whole new realm, but this realm is very unfamiliar to you. Although Qin Yun had yet to enter this realm, he must have a way to help you. You are the 9 heavens goddess. Your judgment of people should be very accurate. Then I will believe you this once." Heavenly Ghost Ancestor also knows Luo Yao Feng. After all, Luo Yao Feng is the Shadow God King of the 9 heavens. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor was originally somewhat hesitant, but after Luo Yao Feng confirmed it for him, he immediately made a decision to help Qin Yun. Whoosh! Heavenly Ghost Ancestor flew over, turned into a black ghost cloud, condensed into a huge ghost head, and rushed towards the 8th gate master. The ghost head, accompanied by a huge wave of black cloud, rushed over and covered all the people of the 8th gate. "Damn guy!" The 8th gate master shouted angrily. He had no choice but to open the great formation formed by the small divine sun in the sky ahead of time. The center of the whirlpool formed by thousands of small divine suns shook and roared. A beam of light fell down and hit Qin Yun's domain barrier. Boom! Qin Yun's domain was instantly destroyed. After the domain was destroyed, everyone saw a huge golden statue inside the domain. It is the Divine King Heavenly Seal. Chapter 2561. Although Heavenly Ghost Ancestor was no match for the All Heavens Sovereign Emperors, the strength he displayed now was astonishing. He was able to hold off so many people of the 8th sect by himself. Although Qin Yun's domain was broken and he was bombarded by the power of the little divine sun formation, the Divine King Heavenly Seal stopped the attack and the power did not harm Qin Yun. After the All Heavens Sovereign Emperors rushed out, some of them wanted to attack Qin Yun, but they found that Qin Yun immediately released a domain to protect himself. The eighth sect master was shrouded by heavenly ghost ancestors' ghost fog and could not continue to control the formation to attack Qin Yun. Even if he controlled the formation, he could not hurt Qin Yun because the Divine King Heavenly Seal in Qin Yun's hand could obviously absorb the power of any divine son. Damn old thing. Why did you come here instead of hiding to comprehend the new realm? The Sorrow Emperor was furious. Her son was in Qin Yun's hands. Only by capturing Qin Yun could the All Heavens Sovereign Emperors return. But Heavenly Ghost Ancestor had ruined an excellent opportunity for the eighth sect. Sorrowful madam, you are not younger than me. Why do you call me old thing? Heavenly Ghost Ancestor laughed loudly. You guys have done so many crazy things by relying on the heavenly rules and orthodoxy. Today is the day your era ends. Ha ha ha. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor had obviously been bullied in the past. Many people did not know about Heavenly Ghost Ancestor's past. They only knew that this half-human, half-ghost old guy was very strong and had surpassed Shen Tianjun to step into a new realm. Unfortunately, after stepping into a new realm, because there was no one to guide him and he knew nothing about this new realm, therefore he could not exert his powerful strength despite his cultivation, which led to him being beaten away by the All Heavens Sovereign Emperors. But now, he seemed to be much stronger than before. With the power of one person, he could disrupt the attack rhythm of the eighth sect. The group of people of the eighth sect was shrouded by a large, strange black fog. They were trapped in the ghost fog and could not escape for a while. Even the eighth sect master did not know what was going on. He could not even make a sound. The Sorrow Emperor and Zhuyang Emperor also rushed into the ghost fog. But after entering, it was still very calm and there was no battle. This heavenly ghost ancestor is quite capable. Luo Yao Feng heaved a sigh of relief and said with a smile, Brother A Yun will definitely be able to smoothly break through. Yu Yao Yao had already arrived beside Luo Yao Feng and whispered, Luo, how did you get to know this fellow Qin Yun? Fate. Luo Yao Feng smiled lightly. Yao Yao, I didn't expect that the great Kuan Peng was actually yours. Can you come out and help Brother Yin? Not now. The Kuan Peng broke the seal and was kept in the Imperial Beast Divine Mirror by me. Because it had been tortured for many years, it became very irritable. After being pacified, it fell into a deep sleep. Imperial Beast Demon sighed and said, Otherwise, I would have definitely let the Kuan Peng swallow it. Those bastards. Only after observing the Divine Beast Mirror did she know that a lot of the Kuan Peng's flesh and bones had been dug out of its body. The Dark Kuan Peng was her pet. She was both distressed and angry that it was being tortured like this. We have to be careful of annihilating the heavens. Imperial Demon suddenly said in a low voice, If this person is really nearby, then we have to be careful. When Luo Yaofeng was in the 9 heavens, she also heard about annihilating the heavens. She nodded with a grave expression. I'm very worried that this guy will suddenly appear and mess up Brother Yun. Annihilating the heaven's strength is very terrifying. One of his trump cards, Heavenly Pig Roar, is very famous. The law enforcement world is very familiar with it and also very afraid of it. Qin Yun can now cultivate in peace. After he devoured the Tao images of the heavenly sovereigns, his heavenly Tao image began devouring those Tao images and then formed a connection with his imperial heaven heart. The mental cultivation method of the imperial heaven divine art is very useful. Qin Yun used his imperial heaven divine rune image to comprehend it, allowing him to quickly comprehend some obscure divine arts. Qin Yun looked at the sacred tribulation gate where the heavenly Tao image is located. It is chaotic inside. There are 2 heavenly Tao images devouring and fusing with each other. The heavenly Tao image of the heavenly sovereigns is truly powerful. Qin Yun's heavenly Tao image has not evolved, so it is difficult to suppress the Tao images of the heavenly sovereigns. It is also because of this deadlock that he is unable to completely devour them. Qin Yun took out the soul creation heavenly cauldron before taking out the bottle of soul lost dew. The souls of venerable sovereigns in the heavens weren't weak. They were crazily colliding inside the soul creation heaven cauldron. One could even hear the sound of his soul power coming out of the soul creation heaven cauldron. Qin Yun, don't think that you can seal me with this broken cauldron. Let me tell you, as long as you give me a few hundred years, my soul will definitely be able to corrode your broken cauldron. Venerable sovereigns said angrily. Once I leave this place, it will be your death. The soul-creating heavenly cauldron trembled slightly, and the voices of the venerable sovereigns came out. Qin Yun also believed that with the Empyrean Supremacy's soul power, they could indeed destroy the soul creation heavenly cauldron in a few hundred years. However, Qin Yun would not give him such a chance. Sigh. I originally didn't want to waste Soul Lost Dew, but since you jumped so much, if I don't use Soul Lost Dew on you, I would be letting down the brothers of the Poison Sun Divine race. Qin Yun unscrewed the lid of Soul Lost Dew and opened a small lid of the Soul Creation Heavenly Cauldron. A small cut. He dripped the Soul Lost Dew into the small mouth. Inside the Soul Creation Heavenly Cauldron are the souls of several powerful Divine Sun descendants, including the previous law enforcement Great Sovereign and Explosive Death Heavenly Emperor. Ah, Qin Yun, you bastard, what did you do to me? Venerable Sovereign's painful voice came out. It is a voice condensed from soul power. Qin Yun saw that Venerable Sovereigns are in extreme pain. He is very happy in his heart. This Soul Lost Dew is also very effective on these powerful souls. He dripped a few drops of Soul Lost Dew into the Soul Creation Heavenly Cauldron and gradually calmed down. The soul of supremacy sovereigns in the heavens had been completely erased. All consciousness and personality in the soul had been wiped clean. This was just a very strong soul without any memories, personality, or consciousness. This is much easier. Qin Yun immediately sensed that Venerable Sovereign's heavenly Tao image has been completely devoured. Venerable Sovereigns are completely finished. Although their souls are still there, they are souls without consciousness. After devouring Venerable Sovereign's heavenly Tao image, Qin Yun's heavenly Tao image formed very quickly. Inside the Tribulation Gate, there is a red and black energy mass. Red and black? Don't tell me this is the extreme evil devil's divine power? Qin Yun carefully observed and found that it is not. At this time, Qin Yun sensed that all of his sacred heavenly Tao images can fuse with each other. This means that all of his Tao images have a common Tao and are linked together. In the future, Tao images will not be independent. They can fuse with each other and burst out even stronger and more peculiar power. Each of the 10 sacred tribulation gates has a secret door that connects them. The Tao images inside the tribulation gates can influence each other and grow together. It can be said that they are a single entity. In the future, Qin Yun doesn't need to specially matchmake them. These Tao images can familiarize themselves with each other, and when they're needed, they can immediately fuse together. Qin Yun's heavenly Tao image has finally been formed. But what made him puzzled is that the heavenly Tao image inside the Tribulation Gate has only turned into a red and black mist. It is not completely manifested. However, this is a very powerful Tao image. Even Ling Yun has been affected by the heavenly Tao image, and her strength has greatly improved. Xiao Yun, we can follow the heavenly Tao image in the future. We will have even greater transformation and improvement. I also don't know how powerful your Tao image will become. Ling Yun very excitedly said. I will slowly explore it later. After all, this is a unique Tao image. Qin Yun closed his eyes, secretly inhaled a mouthful of air, and opened the 10 tribulation gates inside his body. As soon as the tribulation gates opened, Tao God Realm power violently rushed out and battered Qin Yun's body, causing his body to swell up. Qin Yun is still controlling the extreme evil devil's power, so he still has that devilish and charming appearance. What is different is that his body no longer has the extreme evil devil's baleful aura. because that baleful aura has been completely devoured by the heavenly Tao image and transformed into formidable imperial heaven divine power. Qin Yun was very serious in cultivation earlier. He is completely unaware of the situation outside. After he broke through, he immediately paid attention to the situation outside and discovered that Heavenly Ghost Ancestor is being beaten up. His aged face and body have been badly mutilated. In the end, Heavenly Ghost Ancestor is no match for this group of experts. Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye and discovered that the situation inside Heavenly Ghost Ancestor's body is very chaotic. This is mainly because after Heavenly Ghost Ancestor broke through, he didn't know anything about the new realm. So his strength did not increase, but instead decreased. The ones who are beating up Heavenly Ghost Ancestor are Zhu Yang Great Emperor and Sadamotion Great Emperor couple, as well as the other two Great Emperors of Heaven Creation Divine Palace. Only 4 of the Heaven Creation 5 Emperors are left. They are indeed very powerful. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor was injured by the 8th and 7th Sect Master, so he was handed over to Zhu Yang Great Emperor and the others. Qin Yun's domain suddenly disappeared. When a spectator saw this, they all let out earth-shaking shouts. Qin Yun broke through and finally became a Tao god. Everyone is very excited. They want to see how strong this eccentric of heaven's divine desolate is. After withdrawing his domain, Qin Yun used Void Step and arrived in front of Heavenly Ghost Ancestor in a flash. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the large saber. The large saber belongs to Zhu Yang Great Emperor, is also a very powerful divine weapon. But now, Qin Yun grabbed it with his bare hands and crushed it. Scram! Qin Yun used Heavenly Lion's heavenly roar and shouted. The sound wave shocked Zhu Yang Great Emperor and the other 3 Great Emperors, causing them to bleed from their orifices. Their skin and flesh were lacerated, and their bodies were cut by the sound blade formed by the sound wave. The Heavenly Lion race in the distance heard this familiar Heavenly Lion's heavenly roar and were very surprised, because Qin Yun's use of it was more authentic and stronger than their Heavenly Lion race. Retreat! Let the 6-star Heavenly Lords go. The 8th Sect Master shouted. Zhu Yang Great Emperor and the others immediately retreated. As for the dozen 6-star Heavenly Lords, they wore mighty battle armor and held tyrannical battle weapons. Their auras were like dragons as they charged at Qin Yun from afar. Chapter 2562. The moment the heavenly pig roar came out, a suffocating aura of annihilation spread out. What was unbelievable was that such a terrifying aura was actually emitted by a giant pig's head. The golden pig head let out a roar that sounded like a pig, but not like a pig. It sounded unpleasant, but the aura was very frightening. The moment the pig head appeared, the world was shocked. The heaven-destroying celestial pig roar caused the people of the 8th and 7th sects to gape in astonishment. The 7th sect master gnashed his teeth in anger. His eyes were bloodshot because he finally knew who the person who stole their little divine son was. It was not Mietian, but Qin Yun. Qin Yun also mastered the heavenly pig roar, and its power was almost the same as Mietian's. The people watching the battle from afar were in an uproar. They had heard that this heavenly pig roar was very terrifying, but after seeing it with their own eyes, they felt that it was even more shocking than the legends. The dozen or so 6-star heavenly lords were instantly swallowed by the huge pig head, and then there was no more sound. Those were 6-star heavenly lords. They now knew that the person who stole more than 2,000 young divine sons was not Mietian or anyone else, but Qin Yun. After Qin Yun destroyed the Heaven Creation Divine Palace, he stole more than 2,000 young divine sons on the way to the Heavenly Emperor City and killed the 10 6-star Heavenly Lords of the 7th Gate. Yu Yaoyao finally understood why Qin Yun was not afraid of the law enforcers. That heavenly pig roar was indeed very powerful. Seeing Qin Yun come out and save Heavenly Ghost Ancestor, Luo Yaofeng and Bai Suxin felt a lot more at ease. Qin Yun had to use the heavenly pig roar to ensure that he could save heavenly ghost ancestor. Moreover, this was a great opportunity to kill more than 10 heavenly lords. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to deal with more than 10 six-star heavenly lords. Although heavenly ghost ancestor was injured, he felt that it was worth it. After all, he had a certain relationship with Qin Yun. Senior, leave this to me. Qin Yun released a barrier and pushed it towards the distant heavenly Tao altar. Soon, heavenly ghost ancestor was pushed to the heavenly Tao altar and fell inside. The heavenly pig roar gradually dissipated and more than 10 light balls flew out. The souls of the heavenly lords fled in fear. The souls of the divine sun descendants could not be destroyed, so Qin Yun could only watch as they fled. But this was enough. After all, by making more than a dozen six-star heavenly lords lose their combat strength, Qin Yun wouldn't have to struggle against the 7th and 8th gates. Qin Yun floated in the air. He was still the same as before. His body was emitting a reddish-black, baneful aura. His eyes were completely red, and he looked very demonic. However, the evil aura on his body was not as heavy as before. 7th sect leader, what the hell are you doing? Why didn't you tell me earlier that this guy knows the heavenly pig roar? The 8th sect master cursed in a low voice. You've screwed us over. Although the souls of the 6-star heavenly lord were still around, they were useless without their bodies, no matter how strong their souls were. I also just found out that this bastard knows the heavenly pig roar. The 7th sect master hurriedly explained. He also found it very strange because with Qin Yun's current cultivation level, he shouldn't have grasped the divine art of this level. They saw Qin Yun take out the God King's spear, but they didn't know it was a rune crystal. They all thought Qin Yun was the one who used the heavenly pig roar. Seeing Qin Yun use the heavenly pig roar, the 7th and 8th sect masters didn't dare to act blindly without thinking. They all hid inside the heavenly emperor's city. Great Emperor Zhu Yang and the other 3 great emperors were injured by Qin Yun's heavenly lion's heavenly roar. Their bodies are 9 heavens' divine bodies, and their armor is strong enough. However, they were still injured by Qin Yun's roar. The gap between the strength of the 4 great emperors and Qin Yun is getting bigger and bigger. Qin Yun only roared once, and their bodies were severely injured. They all began to doubt their lives. Is Qin Yun's cultivation higher than theirs, or is the Tao they cultivate fake? They are heavenly lords. Could it be that they are fake heavenly lords? Qin Yun, who has stepped into the Tao God realm, has his divine power increased by a lot. It is not difficult for him to deal with some of the weaker heavenly lords. I just don't know how strong the 8th sect master is. Qin Yun thought to himself. He knows that the 8th sect master is a 7-star heavenly lord. His strength is definitely much stronger than those 6-star heavenly lords. Just now, the 7th sect master was injured in the abdomen by Qin Yun's finger. The injury to his body is not serious, but it means that his body is too weak and he can't block Qin Yun's divine power. Qin Yun, what is your relationship with heaven extermination? The 7th sect master said coldly. You 2 rebels will die a horrible death. Heavenly pig roar. Was it given to you by heaven extermination? The 8th sect master shouted angrily. Heaven extermination said before that if Qin Yun was targeted by the law enforcement world, he must not say that they are grandfather and grandson. If Qin Yun uses heavenly pig roar, people will naturally guess his relationship with heaven extermination. Heaven extermination is nothing. I was the one who sold him the heavenly pig roar. Don't compare me to him. He is not even worthy to carry my shoes. Qin Yun's voice is filled with contempt. It really sounds like it is the case. Heaven extermination is not even worthy to carry his shoes. This caused those who know heaven extermination to be secretly alarmed. Someone actually said such arrogant words, but everyone somewhat believed that it was true. Great Emperor Zhu Yang said angrily, Qin Yun, you can't beat the law enforcement world. Return my child's soul. I have already devoured the heavenly sovereigns. I devoured him to make the last Tao image evolve and step into the Tao God realm. Qin Yun laughed heartily and said, "All heaven's venerable emperors are fools. He is the real tool, my stepping stone. I am very grateful to him." Me? Everyone had already guessed it when they saw Qin Yun capture the heavenly sovereigns and devour the tribulation gate. Now that they heard Qin Yun admit it, they couldn't help but sigh. These heavenly sovereigns have been wandering in the heavenly deity wilderness for so long, spreading the word that Qin Yun is a tool, saying that Qin Yun will definitely die. He even said that it is preordained by the heavenly rules Tao orthodoxy. He never thought that the heavenly sovereigns would be the one to die in the end. He was the real tool. "You bastard!" Great Emperor Zhu Yang roared, his voice extremely hoarse. He wanted to rush out and kill Qin Yun, but he is not Qin Yun's match. "Qin Yun, you have destroyed the heavenly rules Tao orthodoxy's designated successor. The heavenly rules Tao orthodoxy will definitely come out and punish you." Great Emperor Sorrow was also very angry. If their son became the new heavenly Tao, they would definitely benefit from it. Qin Yun sneered, "That's for the best. If the heavenly rules Tao orthodoxy can attack me directly, I will take the opportunity to destroy this ancient thing." "How dare you?" the 8th sect master shouted. "Come out if you have the guts. Don't hide in there." "I, Qin Yun, said that I will attack the heavenly sovereign city, and I have indeed come. I never thought that you would not dare to accept my challenge." Previously, many people said that Qin Yun did not dare to come and said that Qin Yun was hiding in the heavenly sword formation. At this moment, their faces were burning. Not only did Qin Yun come, he also killed the heavenly sovereigns. The experts in the heavenly sovereign city did not dare to go out. What bullshit law enforcement world is this? Is that all you can do? You bunch of cowardly old things are afraid of me, a Tao God realm expert. Then your law enforcement world is worse than dog fart. Qin Yun continued to mock them. "You are not allowed to insult our law enforcement world." The 7th sect master roared. "Not only did I humiliate your law enforcement world, I also destroyed more than 20 bodies of your 6-star heavenly monarchs. What do you do to me?" Qin Yun laughed loudly and said, "The law enforcement world is a bunch of cowards. Although their souls are not destroyed, if their bodies are destroyed, they will need time to adapt to their new bodies." "Qin Yun, didn't you say you want to attack the city? Then why don't you come in if you have the guts?" Great Emperor Zhu Yang snorted, "We have a lot of things to do. We don't want to care about you. Why should we go out and fight when you attack the city? No matter what, the heavenly sovereigns are now in danger and the law enforcement world has lost a lot of face." The law enforcement world labeled Qin Yun as an anti-heaven thief, but now they are blocked by this anti-heaven thief. They don't dare to go out. This is extremely vexing. Attack? The heavenly sovereigns of the heavenly sovereigns are gone. Qin Yun smiled and said, "I've already attacked and killed your venerable sovereigns. Shouldn't you be the one taking revenge on me now?" Qin Yun's main target in attacking the heavenly sovereigns are naturally the heavenly sovereigns. Now that the heavenly sovereigns have been completely defeated, there is no point in attacking. Great Emperor Zhu Yang shouted, "Qin Yun, you are wrong. The heavenly sovereigns are immortal. Their souls are immortal, and there are still parts of their souls. The heavenly sovereigns are still alive and in the heavenly sovereign city." Of course, Qin Yun doesn't believe his nonsense, because the 9 souls and 9 spirits of the heavenly sovereigns are inside Qin Yun's soul creation heavenly cauldron. Really? It seems like I have to destroy the heavenly sovereign city. Qin Yun's body suddenly turned into a black shadow, and the surrounding space fluctuated. Whoosh! Qin Yun used Void Crossing Step and Nether Sun to distort and weaken the space. He easily penetrated the heavenly sovereign city's barrier and arrived in front of Great Emperor Zhu Yang in the blink of an eye. The heavenly sovereign city's barrier is very strong. After all, it was jointly set up by the Heaven Creation Divine Palace and the law enforcement world. However, Qin Yun passed through it in an instant. Great Emperor Zhu Yang didn't expect that Qin Yun could appear in front of him in the blink of an eye. The most important thing for a family is to be neat and tidy. Qin Yun sneered and pressed down with supergravity. His big hand also covered Great Emperor Zhu Yang's head. The few great emperors beside Great Emperor Zhu Yang were scared and fled frantically. They are not Qin Yun's match at all. Even if they help Great Emperor Zhu Yang, it will be useless. Qin Yun grabbed Great Emperor Zhu Yang's head. After imprisoning his soul, he pulled with great force, as if he was plucking a carrot from the ground. Chapter 2563. Great Emperor Zhu Yang's body was also easily destroyed by Qin Yun. So what if it was the Nine Heavens divine body? It was still destroyed in an instant. Everyone looked at Great Emperor Zhu Yang's body that exploded into many pieces and began to discuss in alarm. This was a very powerful Nine Heavens divine body. When Great Emperor Zhu Yang fused with this Nine Heavens divine body, he caused a very big commotion. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor personally witnessed Great Emperor Zhu Yang fusing with his body, but now he was destroyed by Qin Yun's kick. Everyone thought that the battle between Qin Yun and Great Emperor Zhu Yang would cause a very big commotion, so they hid far away. Qin Yun did make a move, but every move was very short. Moreover, it was very straightforward and efficient. He killed people in an instant without causing too much commotion. After Great Emperor Zhu Yang was killed, Great Emperor Sorrow Emperor's wife did not even look back and ran far away towards the teleportation formation in the center of Heavenly Emperor City. The 8th Sect Master and the other law enforcement experts are all a loss. They stared blankly. By the time they reacted, Qin Yun is already rushing towards the sad emotion Heavenly Emperor. Don't even think of running. Your family should be together. Qin Yun sneered and used Void Crossing Step to travel through space. Combined with the Light Transformation Sacred Pupil, he caught up to Great Emperor Sorrow Emperor in 2 blinks of an eye. Great Emperor Sorrow Emperor's body was already heavily injured by Qin Yun's Heavenly Lion's heavenly roar. With their strength, they were unable to contend against Qin Yun. Great Emperor Sorrow Emperor sensed danger approaching. Her soul immediately broke out of her heavily injured body and flew out, abandoning her body to escape. She really did not expect that Qin Yun, who was very weak not long ago, would grow to this stage in such a short period of time. Qin Yun was still unable to completely destroy the soul of the Divine Sun descendant, but without a strong enough body, when facing Qin Yun, they would be instantly destroyed like clay figurines. Want to run? Qin Yun has already sent Great Emperor Zhu Yang's soul into the soul creation heavenly cauldron. He increased his speed and chased after Great Emperor Sorrow Emperor. After Qin Yun rushed over, he took out the soul creation heavenly cauldron and quickly carved with both hands. In an instant, a nether moon totem appeared in the void. It turned into a huge net and covered the Great Emperor Sorrow Emperor's soul. Qin Yun's nether moon totem was no longer the same as before. Instead, it had been infused with Imperial Heaven divine power and strengthened by the Imperial Heaven Tao image. It could even suppress the soul of a Divine Sun descendant. After the sad Emperor's soul was trapped, it fell to the ground and struggled madly. It had to be said that the soul of a descendant of the Divine Sun God was indeed very strong. It only took a few moves for it to pierce through the net formed by the Nether Moon Totem. Qin Yun has already expected this, so he hastily released another layer of Nether Moon Totem to cover it. As soon as the sad Emperor's soul broke free, it was covered again. Then what fell was the soul creation heavenly cauldron. Qin Yun smoothly took away the sad emotion Great Emperor's soul and immediately chased after the other 2 heaven creation divine palaces great emperors. These great emperors had once persecuted Qin Yun's mother, the Chaos Divine Dragon, and had even attempted to force Yutian to submit to the Empyrean supremacy of the heavens. How could Qin Yun let them off? The 2 great emperors had abandoned their bodies just like the sad emperor, but their souls couldn't escape in the end. They were all sucked into the soul creation heaven cauldron. The 5 heaven-creating emperors were completely cold. At this moment, Qin Yun can be considered to have completely ended the era of the heaven creation divine palace. Next is the law enforcement world. Seeing Qin Yun eliminate the sad emotion Great Emperor, Ming Yin Yue and Heavenly Evil Battle God are in a very good mood. Even Wang Hao Yue is secretly pleased. After all, the Heaven Creation Divine Palace controls the poison of the poisoned sun god race. It can be used to deal with their bright moon sect. Qin Yun arrived at the center of the All Heavens Empyrean City and sent an earthquake divine ability power towards the center. In an instant, the entire All Heavens Empyrean City collapsed and cracked. All the towering and majestic buildings inside were instantly destroyed and turned into ruins. I really didn't expect that I would have such a great harvest from attacking the city. Qin Yun looked at the 8,000 little divine suns in the sky. His blood-red eyes flickered with red light. He originally only planned to create panic in the Heaven Emperor City and suppress their arrogance. This would make them restrain themselves when they sealed the sky for 10 days. Qin Yun didn't expect that when he attacked the Heaven Creation Divine Palace, he would comprehend and control the extreme evil devil power. Then his strength soared, and he defeated the Heaven Tao image and broke through. This allowed him to have the power to destroy the Heaven Emperor's city. Even the 8th and 7th sects of the law enforcement world can't do anything to Qin Yun now. The Heaven Emperor City has been completely destroyed by the unceasing earthquakes. The Heaven Divine Nation, which was arrogant in the Heaven God Desolate for a short period of time, is gone just like that. The people outside the city looked at the smoke and dust billowing in the ruins and sighed endlessly. They no longer believe in the heavenly rules and Tao orthodoxy. Instead, they believe that whoever has the Divine King Heavenly Seal is an awesome Divine King. Otherwise, everything else is empty. Not good. That slut 8th Sect Master is controlling the little Divine Sun to set up a formation. Qin Yun is in danger. Imperial Demon, Yao said in low voice. The 8,000 little divine suns in the sky are moving very quickly and forming a formation. The people watching from afar can now feel the scorching heat wave brought by the formation. After all, it is 8,000 little divine suns. Even if it is missing 2,000, as long as it is assembled properly, the power it can erupt with is still very strong. These 8,000 little divine suns should be enough to give birth to the 40th world divine sun, right? Qin Yun released the Divine King Heavenly Seal. He suddenly felt that he can use these 8,000 little divine suns as a primer to make the 40th world divine sun come into being. The 8th Sect Master said with sneer, Qin Yun, you are a heavenly traitor. In the end, you still won't be able to defeat our law enforcement world. The Great Formation has already been completed. The 8,000 little divine suns suddenly erupted with intense, scorching light and then condensed into a huge light ball at the center. It is a very strong energy. Very good. Qin Yun nodded his head in satisfaction from below the Great Formation. Then he tightly held the Divine King Heavenly Seal and borrowed the divine power of 3 myriad realms' divine suns. At the same time, Qin Yun released 2 sacred tribulation gates. They are the Nether Sun Tao image and Ling Yun, Er's sacred tribulation gate. He released divine power through the Nether Sun to distort the space in the sky. Moreover, it formed a central devouring point in the sky. Ling Yun also has Little Nether Sunday. Although her Little Nether Sun is not as strong as Qin Yun's, it is not weak either. Combined with Qin Yun's Nether Sun Tao image, it can unleash even stronger power, especially now that she is in the Tao God realm. Ling Yun Er's Little Nether Sun can easily fuse with Qin Yun's Nether Sun Tao image. After condensing a devouring point in the sky, Qin Yun controlled it and then used the Divine King Heavenly Seal to draw in the divine power of 3 myriad realms' divine suns. With the help of 3 myriad realms' divine suns, the devouring power of the devouring point became even more dreadful. The 3 myriad realms' divine suns also released formidable devouring power to help strengthen the devouring power. Apart from this, the myriad realms' divine suns also continuously release their own divine power into the devouring point. In just a few short moments, the devouring point turned into a large ball of intense light. Also at this time, the great formation formed by 8,000 little divine suns finally erupted. After the eruption, before they even started attacking Qin Yun, the little divine suns suddenly dispersed and burst out with intense, scorching energy. They turned into flowing clouds and rushed towards the devouring point. Like a golden river, it surged towards the devouring point. Qin Yun continued through the two sacred tribulation gates, released an extremely strong gravity wave, and rushed towards the sky, pushing the 8,000 little divine suns towards the devouring point. The 8th sect master and 7th sect master are completely dumbfounded. The 8,000 little divine suns are now like kites with broken strings. They're completely out of their control and rushed towards the distant sky. Everyone looked at the direction of the 8,000 little divine suns in the sky, then looked at Qin Yun on the ground, as well as the two huge sacred tribulation gates and the divine king heavenly seal in his hand. Everyone is very puzzled. What exactly did Qin Yun do to dissolve the great formation in an instant? He is creating myriad realms divine suns. The 8th sect master shouted angrily. Qin Yun, I will destroy you. The 8th sect master is only shouting. He really doesn't have the courage to rush over. Although his soul is not destroyed, he might be captured. The 8th sect master has already seen Qin Yun's strength. Qin Yun has the heavenly pig roar. No one can withstand it. The heavens divine desolate will have myriad realms, 9 divine suns. And so far, there are only 3. The 4th myriad realms divine sun has yet to appear, causing many people to look forward to it. Now, it is actually Qin Yun who is helping the 40th universe divine sun to be born. The fact that he has the ability to create myriad realms divine suns makes many people feel that it is inconceivable. The 8,000 little divine suns have all been devoured and gathered together to form a very large fireball in the sky. The other 3 myriad realms divine suns are constantly pouring their divine power into the huge fireball. Qin Yun also stopped because he discovered that the 40th universe divine sun's devouring point is secretly connected to other divine worlds and is currently devouring other divine worlds' divine suns. The 40th universe divine sun is finally coming out. Yu Yaoyao sighed and said, I truly underestimated Qin Yun. I never expected him to have such an important role in the heavens' divine desolate. Role? He is the divine king of the heavens' divine desolate. He has no role in the heavens' divine desolate. He is the ruler of this place. Luo Yaofeng said. I'm afraid not. Yu Yaoyao shook her head and said, Luo, although you are the 9 heavens goddess, your understanding of this world is still too little. My family's brother Yun has broken the heavenly rules in Tao orthodoxy. He is no longer a tool. He has already reversed his fate. Luo Yaofeng lightly snorted and said, I want to see who dares to oppose him. Luo Yaofeng looked at the myriad realms divine sun in the sky and said with a sigh, You will know in the future. Not to mention the future, just the upcoming heaven sealing 10 days. When that time comes, Qin Yun will also face great trouble. The 8th and 7th sect masters have already been completely defeated. Their elite forces have all been killed, and they are completely unable to resist Qin Yun. Now, even if they can escape, it is still unknown. Qin Yun took a deep breath and looked at the 8th and 7th sect masters. He stepped across the air and immediately rushed over. This bastard! The 7th sect master shouted in a low voice. 8th brother, you block him. I will retreat first. Chapter 2564. After the 2 sect masters found it hard to move, they immediately realized that if they continue, they will definitely be killed. The 8th sect master's cultivation is relatively high. He has the strength to fight against Qin Yun, but he is very worried about Qin Yun's heavenly pig roar. Especially now, if Qin Yun uses heavenly pig roar on them, their bodies will definitely be finished, and their souls might even be captured. Go! The eighth sect master's soul suddenly flew out of his body, turned into a ball of light, and flew out of Qin Yun's gravity domain. After the seventh sect master saw this, he immediately reacted. He abandoned his body and ran away. Boom, boom. Two booms rang out, and the bodies of the seventh and eighth house lords exploded. Qin Yun pointed two exploding heaven finger at the distance and exploded the bodies of the two sect masters. Then he chased after their fleeing souls. It has to be said that the seventh and eighth sect masters are very decisive. Their souls have already disappeared without a trace. Qin Yun also did not chase after them. There are still many divine heavenly monarchs of the eighth and seventh sect of the scene. Qin Yun killed them one by one. It can be said that under the level of 6-star divine heavenly monarchs, Qin Yun can't even last 2 moves before destroying their bodies. This frightening power made the people watching the battle from afar feel a deep sense of fear. The other powerhouses who had joined the divine kingdom of all heavens had long since disappeared. The heavenly sovereigns are finished. The heaven creation 5 emperors have fallen into Qin Yun's hands. Even the 7th and 8th sects are no match for Qin Yun. It can be said that the divine nations have been completely destroyed. If the other factions don't run away quickly, they will be beaten into meat paste in the end. It was very shocking when the 10,000 little divine sons appeared, but now they are all gone. Most of them have been used as sacrifices to create the 4th myriad realm's divine sun. Heaven Sealing 10 Sun should be coming soon. Imperial Demon Yao shouted at Qin Yun. Qin Yun, you better hide during this period of time. Law Enforcement Great Sovereign will definitely come out personally. I won't hide. No matter how many Law Enforcement Great Sovereigns come, they will all die, Qin Yun replied. Then he took out the teleportation pearl and immediately teleported back to the outside of the heavenly sword formation. After returning, he returned to his original appearance and also felt very tired. Entering the Imperial Heaven state and releasing the limit of power still has some side effects. Fortunately, it is only fatigue. After entering the through Heaven Sword formation, Qin Yun released the 9-sun Heaven Raising Pagoda and entered it. Ling Yun ran out and cultivated the 3rd level of the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra with Qin Yun to help him recover. Although he had experienced a few great battles, Qin Yun was very calm at the moment. He hugged the delicate and charming long-legged fairy and fell into a deep sleep. After waking up, Qin Yun immediately took out a voice transmission divine pearl and spread the news of the heaven sealing 10 suns. Feng Yu, Shui Yu, White Death, the Little Hall Spirit, and the Purple Sun Villa's elf emperors AO quickly learned that the heaven sealing 10 was about to arrive. The Immortal Pawnshop also knew about the 10 days of sealing the heavens. Qin Yun flew towards the small celestial universe Divine Sun in the Tongtian sword formation and entered the Imperial Heaven Pawnshop. He came to the Imperial Heaven Pawnshop and entered the conference room. He took out the book and flipped to the first page to contact Heaven Destroyer. Grandfather, I have an urgent matter. Quickly come out. Qin Yun anxiously shouted. He only has 4 talisman crystals left in his hand. The Heaven Destroyer immediately appeared and asked, Brat, what did you do in the Gods Desolate? Qin Yun only rested for half a day. With Ling Yun's help, he could recover in half a day. But in just half a day, the Heaven Destroyer unexpectedly received the news. Grandfather, what did you hear in the ancient desolate? Qin Yun said with smile. I heard that in the Gods Desolate, there was a guy who used Heavenly Pig Roar to kill many 6-star heavenly monarchs of the law enforcement realm. That guy even said that I am not even worthy to carry his shoes. He even said that he taught me Heavenly Pig Roar. The Heaven Destroyer curled his lips and said, You are the one who said this, right? Right? Qin Yun said with mischievous smile. Am I not trying to prevent others from suspecting my relationship with you? Grandfather, your Heavenly Pig Roar is very useful. I don't have many left. Give me a few more. Give your uncle. This Heavenly Pig Roar is very precious. Okay? Even I don't usually use it. I only use it to save my life. The Heaven Destroyer lightly groaned and said, You have been targeted by the law enforcement realm? Why is the fight so intense this time? Qin Yun suddenly became solemn and said, I killed all the heavenly sovereigns. The heaven creation emperors of the heaven creation divine palace have all been wiped out by me. There will no longer be any heaven creation divine palace. The heaven destroyer stared blankly for a moment, then nodded in satisfaction and said with smile, Not bad. My heavenly pig roar was not wasted. You actually managed to get rid of these guys before the heaven sealing 10 days. Very good, very good. The heaven destroyer is full of praise because Qin Yun's action this time is beyond his expectation. He thought that the heavenly sovereigns would be finished after a period of time. I devoured the heavenly Tao image of various heavenly venerables and cultivated the heavenly Tao image. However, my heavenly Tao image has not manifested. Grandfather, how should I cultivate the heavenly Tao image next? Qin Yun asked. I can't teach you because the heaven extermination Tao image I cultivate is completely different from your imperial heaven Tao image. The heaven destroyer laughed. Don't worry, your imperial heavenly Tao avatar is fine. My heaven destroyer avatar is still fine. My heaven extermination Tao image still hasn't manifested yet. Grandfather, what is your cultivation now? Qin Yun is somewhat surprised. The heaven destroyer must have cultivated the heaven destroyer Tao image for many years, but it still hasn't manifested. I am only divine heaven lord now. In short, our Tao breakthrough is very slow, but our power is very strong. You should have experienced it yourself. The heaven destroyer said. Oh, that's right, grandfather. How did you become a 10-star anti-heaven thief? Qin Yun is very curious about this. I didn't do anything. I just killed a dozen or so law enforcement great sovereigns. The heaven destroyer very casually laughed and said, Those guys are really something. Giving me this title is completely useless. Qin Yun is secretly apprehensive. Heaven destroyer actually has such deep enmity with the law enforcement world. Then, is there really no more heavenly pig roar for me? Qin Yun curled his lips and said, Grandfather, I am your only grandson. Can't you give me something to protect my life? I really don't have any. Wait until I get more talisman crystals. I will make some for you. The heaven destroyer sighed and said, Those talisman crystals are very precious. All right, after the heaven sealing 10 days arrives, what do I need to pay attention to? Qin Yun wants to take this opportunity to understand a bit more. Pay attention to what? You need to pay attention to a lot. The law enforcers will definitely take care of you. Other than that, with the arrival of the 10 days of sealing the heavens, there might be other fellows popping out. We also need to be very careful. He exhorted Qin Yun solemnly. Other fellows? Qin Yun was alarmed. The gods desolate is very big, but some things have always been suppressed by the seal of the myriad realms divine sun, so they can't come out. Once the 10 days of sealing the heavens arrived, they would most likely come out. Once they come out, they won't go back. Heaven Destroyer said, This is also something we need to pay attention to. Yes, Qin Yun nodded. He never expected that so many things would happen after the 10 days of heaven sealing. Heaven Destroyer said, Don't worry too much. Since you were able to destroy the supremacy sovereigns of the all heavens, your current strength is considered very strong in the all heavens divine wilderness. The main thing is not to go to the center. Center? The center of the god desolate heavens? What exactly is there? Asked Qin Yun. I don't know either. All he knew was that the place was very complicated and chaotic. It might be a self-contained entity, and outsiders wouldn't be able to see what was there. It's going to be very difficult to get in. I just don't know if they'll come out. As Heaven Destroyer talked about this, his expression gradually changed. It gradually sunk. Originally, Heaven Destroyer wanted to talk more with Qin Yun, but he suddenly said that someone was chasing after him, so he immediately cut the conversation short. Qin Yun also left the Nine-Sun Heaven-Raising Pagoda and returned to Divine Moon Heaven City. On the way, he took out the sound transmission Divine Pearl and chatted with his friends, telling them that he is fine and is completely fine. When Qin Yun entered the Imperial Heaven State and controlled the extreme evil devil power, it made people very worried. Knowing that he is fine, his friends felt a lot more relieved. The news of the all-heavens sovereigns and divine nations being destroyed has also spread throughout the Through Heaven Sword formation, especially inside Divine Moon Heaven City. Many women are very happy to know about this matter. There are even some bold women who are running around without clothes. After Qin Yun entered Divine Moon Heaven City, he secretly flew to the fragrant charm pavilion. If he ran into those passionate and hot Divine Moon Clan women on the way, Qin Yun is worried that he will be tormented until his back hurts. After returning to Divine Moon Heaven City, Qin Yun feels like he is playing hide and seek. Only Fragrant Charm Pavilion is safe. Although the all-heaven sovereigns have been killed, Qin Yun is still very worried about one thing. It is the matter of the traitor. Xian Rujing and Yi Yaoxue are already waiting for Qin Yun at the Fragrant Charm Pavilion. After Qin Yun arrived, he immediately asked them if they have discovered anything. Blood Moon Duke and Dark Moon Duke have been cultivating in seclusion and have not come out. Xiao Yun, you killed that bastard, all-heaven sovereigns. Don't think too much. Your enemies are only law enforcers. Xian Rujing's delicate jade-like arms are wrapped around Qin Yun's neck. Sister Rujing, we should not relax our vigilance, Yi Yaoxue said with slight frown. Although there is nothing wrong with Blood Moon Duke and Dark Moon Duke, I still feel that something is wrong. Yu Tian said before that Mu Yu might have planted a traitor in Divine Moon Clan. Even Yu Shangyun doesn't know about this matter. Yu Shangyun trusts Mu Yu, so she doesn't have this kind of suspicion. But Yu Tian is different. Her experience is different from Yu Shangyun. Moreover, she is one of the 9 Sun Divine Daughters. Heaven Sealing 10 Sun is coming. You must keep a close eye on those 2 kings. Qin Yun said with sigh. Maybe I'm being overly suspicious, but if there is a traitor, it will be very dangerous for Divine Moon Clan. He is now the acting clan emperor. If something happens to Divine Moon Clan, he doesn't know how to explain it to Yu Shangyun. Chapter 2565. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor helped Qin Yun before by disrupting the 8 sex attack on Qin Yun's domain. Qin Yun noticed that Heavenly Ghost Ancestor's condition is somewhat chaotic, and he is very curious. After learning that Heavenly Ghost Ancestor is outside, Qin Yun immediately went out. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor is tall and big. He is wearing a large black cloak. His black hair is fluttering in the wind. His face is full of wrinkles, but his hair is jet black, making him look very young and full of vitality. As for Qin Yun, he was dressed in simple white clothes and wore a hat. He came out alone. Senior, I made you wait for a long time. Qin Yun greeted him with a smile. The Heavenly Dao altar was here earlier, but now it has run far away. Tian Dao Z must be hiding to avoid the disaster of Heaven Sealing 10 Sunday. No. We old guys have been living like this for so many years. It's just a bit of time. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor laughed loudly and said, Palace King, your appearance before was really scary. It's good that you are fine now. Qin Yun took out the 9 Sun Heaven Raising Pagoda and invited Heavenly Ghost Ancestor inside. After entering, Heavenly Ghost Ancestor sat down. Without even drinking tea, he anxiously asked, Palace King, although your cultivation is only Dao God Realm, everyone knows that you are very capable. Moreover, you are the Divine King of Divine Desolate. I have encountered a big problem in my cultivation. Please give me some pointers. Qin Yun already saw that Heavenly Ghost Ancestor's body is in chaos, but he can't see it clearly. He needs to be very patient. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor also suffered heavy injuries when helping Qin Yun. Although he has recovered a lot now, his injuries are still there. Senior, your injuries are not light. The situation inside your body is very complicated. I am afraid that you can't handle it. Qin Yun said. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor became very excited. He drank the tea poured by Qin Yun and said with a smile, It's fine, my old bones are very hard. You can see that my body is very complicated. It means there is hope. Qin Yun nodded and then opened his heavenly eye. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor saw Qin Yun's eyes emit blue light and can't help but feel a strong pressure. Qin Yun is using all his strength to open his heavenly eye. The blue light shot into heavenly ghost ancestor's body is indeed very powerful. The realm beyond Shun Tianjun. What realm is this? Qin Yun frowned. Why is it like this? Senior, how many Dao images did you originally have? I originally only had 7 Dao images, Heavenly Ghost Ancestor said. After many years of seclusion, I suddenly comprehended something and then rushed forward with all my strength. I felt like I had broken through. And then? Qin Yun was still observing Heavenly Ghost Ancestor's condition. Then I became very strong. To be honest, when I had just broken through, I was indeed very powerful. I could even slap 100 venerable sovereigns to death in front of me. But later, I don't know why, but my condition became worse and worse. Gui Zhu shook his head. In order to find a reason, did you mess with your Dao image? Asked Qin Yun. I couldn't do anything about it, so I caused a problem with the Dao image. Fortunately, I'm gradually recovering now. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor's eyes were filled with hope. He looked at Qin Yun and asked, Palace King, what caused this? I'm in. What realm? I don't know what realm you are in. I also don't know how to name it. I only know that when you reach this realm, there is a space inside your Dao image that needs to be filled with something. Qin Yun said, Yes. My Dao image originally didn't have such a hollow space. Now that I'm in this realm, I need to cultivate something in that space. But why did my strength regress? Heavenly Ghost Ancestor said in a very depressed tone. Qin Yun said with a smile, It's very obvious. Your Dao image has opened up a hollow space. It can't get any energy to replenish it, so it became very weak. You need to transform divine power into something stronger and let your Dao image absorb it. According to the hollow space inside your Dao image, you need to condense a pill inside it. My Dao image can absorb divine power. I ate many great tonics. My Dao image also absorbed a lot of divine power. Moreover, it doesn't look weak. It's just that the divine power it released is very weak. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor became even more doubtful. When you just broke through, all your Dao images were in their peak state, so you were naturally very strong at that time. My guess is that at that time, there should have been a ball of divine power condensed inside the hollow space. Qin Yun said, You exhausted that ball of divine power and didn't go to it. That's why it became like this. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor scratched his head and said with awkward smile, Maybe I didn't realize it at that time. I couldn't even look inside my Dao image. Qin Yun took out Pill Transformation Heavenly Furnace and said, Senior, you have already surpassed Shun Tianjun and entered a completely new realm. Even if your Dao image can absorb divine power, it can't transform it into even stronger divine power and condense it inside your Dao image's hollow space. This is the reason. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor nodded his head, then stared at Qin Yun's Pill Transformation Heavenly Furnace and asked, Then Palace King, do you have any method? I will now create even stronger divine power and see if your Dao image can absorb it or not. Qin Yun took out 10 Divine Universe Golden Stones and placed them inside Pill Transformation Heavenly Furnace. He wants to use Pill Transformation Heavenly Furnace to refine 10 Divine Universe Golden Stones into one. Then the divine power inside will be greatly increased. The refinement speed is very fast. After refining this Pill Transformation Heavenly Furnace needs to cool down for a period of time before it can be refined again, otherwise it won't be able to handle it. Qin Yun handed over the pill to Heavenly Ghost Ancestor and said, Senior, eat this pill and try to absorb the energy inside the Divine Universe Golden Stones. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor immediately ate it and began cultivating. Very soon, his body overflowed with a burst of very strong aura. Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye and saw a golden cyclone condensing at the hollow space of Heavenly Ghost Ancestor's Heavenly Ghost Dao image. The Heavenly Ghost Dao image can very quickly absorb the divine power inside the pill and then consciously gather it at the hollow space of the Dao image. This level of Tao image can only absorb even stronger divine power. And if divine power is not strong enough, as soon as it enters the Tao image, it will be immediately digested by the Tao image, and nothing will be left. Qin Yun said in secret. In other words, ordinary divine power is like water. After entering the Tao image, it won't have any effect. Ling Yuner said, ordinary divine power is not strong enough, so it can't be condensed and will eventually dissipate inside the Tao image. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor is very happy now because the pill Qin Yun gave him has condensed a ball of divine power in the hollow space of his 7 Tao images. Qin Yun, who is standing beside Heavenly Ghost Ancestor, also gradually sensed an indescribable pressure. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor's current strength is enough to slap dozens of myriad heaven's venerable emperors to death. That is absolutely not a boast. Is this the strength that surpasses Shen Tianjun? It must be known that Heavenly Ghost Ancestor's current state is still very chaotic. He has not entered the right path of cultivation, yet he is already so dreadful. Very good. I have finally recovered the feeling of cultivation. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor is very happy. He said with smile, Palace King, thank you so much. You are worthy of being the hope of myriad heavens divine desolate. Qin Yun waved his hand and said with smile, Senior, you flatter me. Palace King, do you still have that pill? The one I just ate won't last long. I won't take it for free. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor said, eating that pill is not a long-term solution. I guess you need to wait for more myriad worlds' divine suns to appear in myriad heavens divine desolate. Only then will the overall divine power be strong enough. You might as well wait patiently. Qin Yun said, it seems like my breakthrough is too fast. This world can't keep up with my pace. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor said with mischievous smile, it's fine as long as you are sure that my breakthrough is correct. I was worried that my cultivation would regress. That's not true. Through Heavenly Ghost Ancestor situation, Qin Yun learned that even if he surpasses Shun Tianjuan's cultivation, he still has to cultivate Tao images. Perhaps, in the central region of the God Desolate Heavens, there are people who came into contact with this realm earlier. Perhaps they have even developed cultivation methods and arts. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor sighed. But even I don't have the courage to go. If this is really the case, then the center of myriad heavens divine desolate is indeed very powerful. While Qin Yun and Heavenly Ghost Ancestor are chatting, they suddenly sense that the divine power around them is gradually weakening. It is reasonable to say that the 40th universe divine sun has already formed, so the divine power of myriad heavens divine desolate should be even denser. Now that it's suddenly weakened, there's only one possibility. Heaven Sealing Sun has arrived. Qin Yun and Heavenly Ghost Ancestor immediately walked out of the 9-sun heaven raising pagoda. The entire sky suddenly turned yellow. The myriad realm's divine sun has disappeared. Qin Yun hastily took out the divine King Heavenly Seal. Through it, he cannot sense the existence of the myriad realm's divine Sunday. What should come has finally come. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor patted Qin Yun's shoulder and said, Palace King, don't worry. Heaven Sealing Sun will only last for 10 days. If we join hands, who can do anything to us? Law Enforcer Realm strength is definitely not weak. Maybe there are people who surpass Shun Tianjuan's cultivation. Qin Yun shook his head. We cannot lower our guard. After Heaven Sealing Sun arrived, Qin Yun immediately took out the sound transmission divine pearl and contacted the people inside the Through Heaven Sword formation, telling them to prepare. Palace King, before Divine Judge invited me to Myriad Realm's divine court to become some ghost god. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor said with smile, I have nothing to do now, so I decided to go and have a look. All right. Qin Yun nodded and said. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor took out a teleportation pearl and said with smile, then I will leave first. If Law Enforcer Realm comes, use this talisman to contact me. After Qin Yun took the talisman, Heavenly Ghost Ancestor also left for Divine Court Heavenly City. Qin also took out a sound transmission divine pearl to contact Ming Yunyue, heavenly evil battle immortal, and others, but he could not contact them. It means that divine moon and divine desolate have been cut off. Family Emperor, Flower Moon Marquis, and others have run into trouble. Feng Yu sent a message to Qin Yun. Qin Yun immediately returned to Divine Moon Heavenly City. Feng Yu and Shui Yue are already inside Fragrant Charm Pavilion. What kind of trouble did they run into? Qin Yun already knew that Hong Mengshu went out with Flower Moon Marquis and said that she would return, but she has not returned yet. They have been ambushed and are now trapped in an empty city. They said that the people outside the city are very strong. We don't know the exact situation. Feng Yu took out a soul-chasing talisman and handed it over to Qin Yun. Family Emperor, I will go with you. No need. Qin Yun took the soul-chasing talisman, then took out a sound transmission divine pearl and sent a message to Xian Rujing and Yi Yaoshue, telling them to continue paying attention to Blood Moon and Dark Moon. Then he warned Inscription Gate to properly defend the Through Heaven Sword formation. Chapter 2566. After Qin Yun flew out of the Heavenly Sword formation, he contacted Nanyang Divine Palace and Imperial Heaven Pawnshop again and told them to be vigilant, especially the Inscription Gate. Qin Yun repeatedly exhorted them to immediately release the energy of the Divine Universe Golden Stone when necessary to stabilize the Through Heaven Sword formation. Qin Yun asked Ming Yunyue to help him gather a large amount of Divine Universe Golden Stone so that he can maintain the Heavenly Sword formation during Heaven Sealing 10 days. Now that he can't sense Myriad Realms' Divine Sun, the Heavenly Sword formation's 100,000 Sword Mountains is mainly relying on the Divine Universe Golden Stone inside the Divine Rune Mountain. Xiao Yun, if there really is a traitor in Divine Moon Heaven City, then you're luring the tiger away from the mountain. Ling Yuner said somewhat anxiously. Don't worry, I have teleportation pearl. I can return very quickly. Qin Yun feels that even if there is a traitor in Divine Moon Heaven City, with Feng Yu and Shui Yue here, they can certainly fight against the other two kings. Xian Rujing, Yi Yaoshue, Luo Yaofeng, and Bai Suxin are also not weak. Qin Yun also let Zi Qingsheng, Shui Qianzi, and the others stay in Divine Moon Heaven City to guide them in planting the unfettered divine grass. He owes Ming Yunyue a large amount of Divine Universe Golden Stone. Whether or not he can repay, it all depends on the unfettered smoke. The usage of Divine Universe Golden Stone is getting bigger and bigger, especially when more and more people surpass Divine Heaven Monarch. The demand for Divine Universe Golden Stone will be even bigger. Heavenly Ghost Ancestor needs even higher quality Divine Universe Golden Stone to continue cultivating, otherwise not only will he not be able to maintain his cultivation, his divine power will also greatly decrease. Otherwise, Heavenly Ghost Ancestor would not have been forced to run away by Heavenly Sovereigns. Qin Yun is holding Flower Moon King and Hong Mengshu's soul-chasing talisman. They are both in the same direction. They should be together. Long time no see Mengshu. She should be living a good life in Divine Moon Clan. Hong Mengshu is Qin Yun's old friend. She often hung out with Xiao Yuemei. Ever since Xiao Yuemei accepted Divine Daughter's mission, she has been very busy. Her little sisters also miss her very much. After Qin Yun broke through to Dao God Realm, he can use Nether Sun Dao Idol's divine power and space heavenly rune to release power that can allow him to break through space. This way, when he used the void traversing step again, it will be even more convenient for him to travel through space. Although the consumption was as high as before, compared to before, at least he didn't have to rely on the little Queen Ant's spatial divine power pearl. Qin Yun used transcending void steps to travel through space. In less than half a day, he saw an empty, ancient city in front of him. The buildings in this ancient city looked old, but they were not dilapidated. Some of the buildings were even taller. The 10 days of sealing the heavens had arrived, and the world was covered in a yellow hue. The ancient city seemed even older under the dusky yellow light, as if a sandstorm had just passed. This city was very big, and the buildings were ancient and rather simple. They were all made of square boulders, and the buildings did not have any shape. They were either rectangular or square. The overall layout was very neat. Looking at it from afar, it was very smooth and comfortable. There are no city walls or barriers. With the scale of the city, it can accommodate at least 20 to 30 million people. Qin Yun hovered high in the sky and looked at the two soul-chasing talismans in his hand. They were pointed at the city ahead. Xiao Yun, this city must have existed for a very long time. How can it appear here? Ling Yun said, the formation of Divine Desolate is too short. There shouldn't be this kind of ancient city here. Qin Yun also feels that it is very strange because this city looks like it suddenly dropped down from the sky. It is completely out of tune with this land. Trap. This must be a trap. Ling Yun immediately warned Qin Yun. No matter what, I must go in. Meng Shu is inside. Qin Yun said, not only Meng Shu, Divine Moon Clan's Flower Moon Marquis and other women are also trapped inside. 10 days of sealing the heavens has arrived. Flower Moon Marquis and other women have been ambushed. Qin Yun had no choice but to leave the through Heaven Sword formation to save them. Is this all a coincidence? From time to time, Qin Yun took out a sound transmission divine pearl and asked them to pay more attention to the situation. Qin Yun is very confident in his own strength after the battle in All Heaven's Emperor City, so he is not afraid of anyone. Even if Heavenly Ghost Ancestor is in peak condition, Qin Yun would not be afraid. After he became invisible, he immediately flew towards the mysterious ancient city. After entering the mysterious ancient city, Qin Yun became even more suspicious, because when he entered, he did not sense any barrier at all. Is there really no barrier? Qin Yun immediately turned around and flew out again. He very smoothly flew out. There really is no barrier. Since there is no barrier, why are Sister Meng Zhu and others trapped? Ling Yun is somewhat doubtful. Xiao Yun, are there any powerful people nearby? With a thought, Qin Yun looked up into the sky and projected his heavenly avatar high into the sky. Very soon, 2 transparent, huge eyes appeared in the sky. They are Qin Yun's heavenly eye clone. Through the heavenly eye, he can see the entire city from the sky. Nothing inside the city can escape his heavenly eye. Nothing for now. Qin Yun flew close to the ground while holding the spirit-chasing talisman. He is not very far from Hong Meng Shu and others. Xiao Yun, there must be something strange about this city. Ling Yun is also very doubtful. Let's find Meng Shu and others first. We will see them soon. Through the spirit-chasing talisman, Qin Yun can feel that they are nearby. Suddenly, the heavenly eye clone in the sky saw a few figures flying in the air, and they are heading towards Qin Yun. Someone is here. Qin Yun immediately stopped. He believes that those people are not coming for him because he is invisible. If it is not someone with strong mental power, they would not be able to sense him. After Qin Yun stopped, not long after, those people flew over him, and the direction they are heading towards is where Hong Meng Shu and Flower Moon Duke are. What surprised Qin Yun is that those few people are actually women. They are wearing tight black clothes. It is possible to see their graceful bodies. Qin Yun immediately followed. Not long after, they stopped in front of a large square stone house. The leader of the black-clothed women shouted coldly, "Huayu, hurry up and come out." The main goal of the law enforcement world is the through Heaven Sword formation. They can't even protect themselves, so they definitely won't come to save you. Qin Yun is secretly shocked. The ones who cause Huayu and the others to be trapped are actually these women in black. He is puzzled. Huayu and the others are in that large stone house. They can just attack directly. Why do they have to shout outside and not attack? Give up. Even if Huayu, die, I will never betray the Divine Moon Clan. Huayu's voice came out. Her voice is very sweet, but now it is ice, cold, and filled with anger. The woman in black sneered. The Divine Moon Clan is no longer the Divine Moon Clan of the past. Yu Shangyun betrayed the Divine Moon Clan and actually let a man become the Divine Moon Clan's emperor. When Qin Yun heard this, his heart trembled. The women of the Divine Moon Clan all know that Qin Yun is the clan emperor, but they did not reveal it to the outside world. The woman in black knows. It means that there is indeed a traitor in the Divine Moon Clan. The Divine Moon Clan originally belonged to Sister Shangyun. Whatever decision she makes is her business, and she will never betray the Divine Moon Clan. Huai Yu said, "Our clan emperor is Qin Yun. We all approve of him. Do you know how deranged he is?" Not long after he entered the Divine Moon Heaven City, he raped hundreds of women. Furthermore, he said that the Divine Moon Clan is his harem, and he will never allow the heavenly sovereigns to snatch the Divine Moon Clan. The woman in black laughed loudly and said, "This is the clan emperor you all approve of?" "Shut up. Brother Yin is not that kind of person." Hong Mengshu shouted angrily, but her voice is somewhat weak. It sounds like she is injured. Is that kind of person? The Divine Moon Heaven City is inside the Heavenly Sword Formation, and the Heavenly Sword Formation is controlled by Qin Yun. The entire Divine Moon Clan is in his pocket. The woman in black sneered. Qin Yun is infuriated. He immediately rushed over and released super gravity, pressing down on the women in black. At this moment, he is shocked to discover that the souls of these women are all descendants of the Divine Sun, and their bodies are 9 heaven divine bodies. 9 heaven divine bodies? Where did this come from? Could it be someone from the law enforcement world? "You! Who are you?" A woman in black suddenly shouted. She can't see Qin Yun. The other women felt their bodies become incomparably heavy. Even though they have 9 heaven divine bodies, they are unable to move at this moment. "I am the acting clan emperor of the Divine Moon Clan, Qin Yun." Qin Yun said in deep voice, "I am here to save people. I just happened to hear someone slandering me." "Qin Yun." The woman in black screamed in fright. What caused Qin Yun to be surprised is that they immediately abandoned their bodies and their souls immediately rushed out from their heads. After Qin Yun saw this, he retracted the gravity and gathered them together. Then the spirit creation heavenly cauldron became bigger and immediately covered them, covering their fleeing souls. "Want to run?" "No way." Qin Yun wants to figure out the background of these women. They actually know that he is the acting clan emperor of the Divine Moon Clan. "Mengshu, it's me." Qin Yun stored away the spirit creation heavenly cauldron and walked towards the large house. "Brother Yin, why are you here? You shouldn't have come." Hong Mengshu let out a long sigh. "This is a trap. The carrier pigeon that returned to the Divine Moon Heaven City was not released by us. The letter asking for help was also not written by us. No matter what, I am here." Qin Yun said, "Hurry up and come out. We will leave immediately." The stone house's door opened. After Qin Yun walked in, he smelled a very strong poisonous gas. It is a very strong poisonous fragrance. Was this poison released by the Flower Moon Duke, or was it already here? After Qin Yun entered, he did not see anyone. He stood in a large hall and looked around. "I released it." Huai Yu's sweet voice came out, and the door immediately closed. A petite woman with a pair of long ponytails suddenly walked out from a door. Her face is very pale, without a trace of blood. It is obvious that she is seriously injured. Chapter 2567. Huai Yu is wearing a light purple embroidered dress. She looks luxurious and elegant. As soon as she came out, all the poisonous fragrance in the hall entered her body. Then she took out a pill and handed it to Qin Yun. Flower Moon Marquis's appearance is not very beautiful. She has a small oval face, and her eyes under her curved eyebrows are very clear and beautiful. Therefore, when Qin Yun saw her, he was first noticed by her eyes. That kind of feeling is like seeing 2 bright stars, and the bright stars are like flowers suddenly blooming. Qin Yun believes that the reason why Flower Moon Marquis's appearance is not stunning is most likely because her strange and beautiful eyes have stolen the brilliance. "Clan Emperor, this is an antidote pill. You just inhaled my poisonous fragrance." Huayu handed over the antidote pill and smiled lightly. I won't be poisoned, but Flower Moon Marquis's antidote pill must be very delicious. Qin Yun took the antidote pill and ate it. Just call me Huayu. Huayu chuckled, then caressed Hong Mingshu's pale cheeks and said, as expected of Clan Emperor, you made Mengshu recover a lot in an instant. Qin Yun said with frown, who injured Mengshu? All right, what about the other women? They're all injured. I wrapped them in flower buds and put them in storage space. Huayu said and released a very large flower bud that can wrap a person up. It was those women who injured us just now. They have already been captured by Clan Emperor. However, they seem to be descendants of Divine Sun. It is very difficult to completely exterminate them. Huayu kept the flower bud. Hong Mengshu said, Brother Yun, what is the situation outside? The heavens have been sealed for 10 days. Will the heavenly sovereigns attack the heavenly sword formation? Huayu is also very worried because Qin Yun ran out at this critical moment. It is very clear that he was deliberately lured out of the heavenly sword formation. Qin Yun patted her head and said with smile, Mengshu, the heavenly divine nation is finished. The heavenly sovereigns have been destroyed by me. They can't attack the heavenly sword formation. What? Hong Mengshu and Huayu are stunned. They can't believe this is true. Those damned women in black. They didn't tell us and even lied to us, saying that the sovereigns of all heavens would definitely attack the piercing heaven sword formation. Hong Mengshu groaned. She naturally believed Qin Yun. Huayu's expression was grave as she said, Clan leader, there is a traitor in our Divine Moon clan. Otherwise, those women wouldn't have known that you had become our acting clan empress. Then who do you think it is? Qin Yun's expression sank. Blood Moon and Dark Moon were the most suspicious. Huayu shook her head and said sadly, I really didn't expect that someone in the Divine Moon clan would betray us. For so many years, we've been as close as sisters, going through thick and thin together, but there's still a traitor. She could not accept this fact, but she was very sure that there was a traitor in the Divine Moon clan. Qin Yun only suspected Blood Moon and Dark Moon. However, he did not have any evidence, so he could not mention this matter to Huayu. Flower Moon, why are you so sure that there's a traitor? Qin Yun asked. The few black-clothed women who were captured by the Clan Emperor just now. They know our whereabouts very well. They know the internal affairs of our Divine Moon clan like the back of their hands. They can even control our space carrier pigeons. Huayu bit her lips and said with a sad expression, if there is a traitor, then it is definitely a core member of the clan. If there is a traitor, then it is definitely a core member of the clan. A core member being a traitor was the most difficult thing for Huayu to accept, but this was the truth. Qin Yun previously thought that the traitor was working for the Heavenly Divine Kingdom, but now it seemed that it was related to the law enforcement world. He recalled what Yu Tian had said before. Mu Yu was once a law enforcement great sovereign, so it was extremely possible that she had planted a traitor in the core of the Divine Moon clan. Let's go, we'll go back now. Qin Yun said, we have to discuss this matter with Shui Yue and Feng Yue. What about Dark Moon and Blood Moon? What have they been doing all this time? Huayu suddenly asked. They have been in seclusion all this time. I didn't even have the chance to see them. Qin Yun said, do you have something important to talk to them about? It's nothing important. They really know how to choose a time to go into seclusion. Huayu's eyes flickered as she snorted lightly. Hong Mengshu sighed and said, Brother Yun, it won't be that easy for us to leave this ancient city. Qin Yun was just about to ask about the ancient city when he said, what's wrong with this ancient city? I can go in and out as I please. This ancient city is very strange. After we entered, no matter what we did, we just couldn't fly out. Every street has no end. No matter where we go, we are all inside this city. Huayu gently shook her head and said, the buildings here are very sturdy and can't be broken at all. Bad. Qin Yun also understood why Huayu and the others were inside the big house, but no one could attack. Those women, can't they get out either? Qin Yun asked. Yes, they can't get out either. When they were outside the city, they released the spatial messenger pigeons to attract more of our clansmen. Hua Yu said, "It seems that this city was not released by our enemies." Qin Yun took out the sound transmission divine pearl and realized that he could no longer send a message. Strangely, the heavenly eye he released could still overlook the entire ancient city. This ancient city had only appeared not long ago. It was so huge, and it suddenly appeared. This made Qin Yun recall what Heaven Extermination had said. When the sky was sealed for 10 days, some things would suddenly unseal and appear. "Let's go, follow me out." Qin Yun looked at Hong Mengshu and said, "Mengshu, I'll let you rest first." He placed Hong Mengshu into the Nine-Sun Divine Spirit and let her rest inside. With Mo and Yang Yang taking care of her, she would quickly recover. When Huayu saw Qin Yun put Hong Mengshu into the storage space, she said in a low voice, "Clan Emperor, can Mengshu hear us inside? If she can't hear, will she be very bored?" "No, it's very spacious inside," Qin Yun said with a smile. "Then, Clan Emperor, can you tell me who you suspect to be the traitor?" Huayu said in a low voice. Qin Yun was startled. This Huayu Marquis was actually able to see through something. For her to become a Marquis, it was indeed not simple. He shook his head. Because he had not confirmed it yet, he could not speak carelessly to avoid causing a huge conflict. "All right, I'll tell you who I suspect. I suspect that it's the Blood Moon and the Dark Moon. Do you suspect them as well?" Huayu said again. Qin Yun is even more astonished. This Huayu seems to have the ability to read minds. "Well, before there is conclusive evidence, I can't make wild guesses." Qin Yun sighed. The internal affairs of the Divine Moon clan made him feel extremely troubled. Huayu pushed open the door and said, "Clan Emperor, I know that you are afraid of causing internal strife among us, so you are very cautious in this matter. It's good that you understand." Qin Yun nodded and followed her out. "I promise you that I will never tell Shui Yue and Feng Yue about this matter." After Huayu walked out, she said, "Can you tell me what you discovered? Why do you suspect the Dark Moon and the Blood Moon?" Qin Yun asked. He is truly curious as to why Huayu would have such suspicions. "They shouldn't be in seclusion during this period of time, because I understand them. I believe that the reason why they went into seclusion was to avoid meeting you. In addition, it was to avoid suspicion." Huayu said. She and Qin Yun had already walked out of the large house. She said, "Sister Shang Yun actually made you the current emperor of the Li clan and even gave you her divine moon heavenly spirit. That is equivalent to making us, the 5 dukes, obey you and help you." And then, Qin Yun looked at the yellow sky. "We, the 5 dukes, must see you. Instead, they have been hiding from you. There must be some secret behind this." Huayu said, "Even Shui Yue has been helping you so enthusiastically during this period of time. Yet they are hiding from you. This is a problem." Qin Yun shook his head. "There is no evidence at the moment. Maybe they are really cultivating in seclusion." Huayu snorted lightly. "They can deceive Shui Yue and Feng Yue, but they can't deceive me. When I return, I must personally keep an eye on them. Clan Emperor, tell me, why do you suspect them? You don't understand them, but you suspect that they are traitors. I must know why." Qin Yun pondered for a moment before telling Huayu about his meeting with the people from the 4 moon clans who had betrayed the Fire Moon divine race. Back then, it was this group of people who told Qin Yun. Furthermore, they did not have any evidence. What is the status of the Blood Moon and Dark Moon in the Divine Moon clan? How are our relationships? What's your relationship with Sister Shang Yun? Qin Yun asked. After Huayu heard this, she also fell into silence. Qin Yun's question also interrupted her thoughts. Her beautiful eyes flashed with grief as she said, "They're like sisters to us. I can't believe they would do such a thing. You should know that we were almost caught and killed before." Her beautiful eyes also flickered with tears, and 2 drops of tears rolled down, because in her eyes, these 2 good sisters were as good as dead. Is the relationship really that good? Qin Yun sighed helplessly. Very good. They have saved the Divine Moon clan many times, and it can be said that they have gone through thick and thin with us. Sister Shang Yun was in danger a few times, and they risked their lives to save her. Huayu is also crying. Don't cry first. Maybe they have some difficulties? Qin Yun hurriedly comforted. Since I am now the clan emperor, I will definitely find out. Clan emperor, when we return, we will immediately capture them. Only then can we ask clearly and stop them from continuing to harm the Divine Moon clan. Huayu immediately wiped away her tears. All right, after we return, we'll find Feng Yu and Shui Yue. Let's go together. Qin Yun said. We can't find them. Feng Yu and Shui Yue are too emotional. They have an extremely good relationship with the Blood Moon and Dark Moon. Huayu shook her head. I will attack with you and capture them first, so as to prevent Feng Yu and Shui Yue from escaping. Huayu had to prioritize the overall situation, which was why she made such a decision. This caused Qin Yun to be somewhat surprised, because Huayu did not seem to be a very decisive woman. But now, it seems that she is even more decisive than Shui Yue and Feng Yu. Chapter 2568. Although the ancient city was huge, it was not strange for it to move. What alarmed Qin Yun was that when the ancient city moved, there were no energy fluctuations. To be able to move such a huge ancient city would definitely require energy, and there would definitely be energy fluctuations. Even with Qin Yun's powerful perception, he was unable to sense any energy fluctuations. This made him very alarmed. Furthermore, he had been observing with his heaven eye for a long time, but hadn't seen anyone else. Clan Emperor, this ancient city is very strange. After we came in, we were trapped here. Even those women in black are unable to fly out or even contact the outside world. Huayu said. Qin Yun pointed to a direction and said, Let's go. We will leave from there. His heaven's eye clone was in the air, overlooking the ancient city they were in. They were on a street, and this street led directly out of the city. Qin Yun and Huayu flew close to the ground, maintaining a moderate speed. The speed at which the ancient city moved gradually increased, but within the ancient city, one could not feel anything. Through the heavenly eye avatar, Qin Yun saw that he and Huayu had already reached the edge of the ancient city. However, when Qin Yun looked ahead, it was still a long street. There was no end to it. Let's continue flying. Qin Yun flew in front and noticed him and Huayu through the heavenly eye avatar. Through the third eye, he saw that after he and Huayu walked to the edge of the ancient city, they suddenly appeared at the end of the street. After Qin Yun and Huayu reached the end of the street, they seemed to have entered a spatial door and arrived at the end of the street. If that was the case, then no matter how long they flew, they would always be running on this street. I see. Qin Yun had already figured out the general principle, but he was still somewhat puzzled because he could not sense any spatial fluctuations. Is there a spatial passageway connecting the two ends? But there are no spatial fluctuations. Huayu said. She had the same doubts before. Qin Yun said. It's the space causing mischief. The movement of the ancient city was also propelled by the power of space. It's just that this kind of spatial energy is very strange. We can't sense it. This is the power of the dark space. Dark space? Spatial Xian'ant? Could it be that this ancient city belongs to the space Xian'ant? Huayu said in shock. She had heard of the dark space before, but she didn't know much about it. It shouldn't be a spatial Xian'ant. I suspect that other than the space Xian'ants, living beings have appeared in the dark space. Qin Yun could only let the little queen ant come out. The appearance of the little ant queen made Huayu very curious. Her beautiful eyes widened as she looked at the little ant queen. Little queen ant, can you sense anything different here? I suspect that there's a power from dark space here. Qin Yun said. Little queen ant looked all around, then immediately hid under Qin Yun's collar and said with some fear, Big brother, I am scared. Don't be afraid. Big brother will protect you. Qin Yun is now sure that little ant queen is afraid of something. I don't know what it is, but they can use the power of dark space. I feel that they are here. The little queen ant said in a low voice, Big brother, you have to be careful. Don't worry. Qin Yun let little ant queen return and stay with Yang Yang and the others. Qin Yun originally wanted the little ant queen to send him out, but he was worried that something would happen to the little ant queen after entering the dark space, so he didn't let her. Family King, how do we get out of here then? Hua Yu is very anxious because she wants to quickly return and confirm whether Blood Moon and Dark Moon are traitors or not. Qin Yun looked at the sky and asked, "Have you tried to fly into the sky?" "I tried, but I couldn't fly very high." Hua Yu sighed and said, "This ancient city is very strange." Qin Yun took a deep breath. His eyes turned blue. He secretly activated his Imperial Heaven Divine Power. The aura on his body suddenly became extremely terrifying. Hua Yu, who was beside him, immediately retreated a few steps in fright. Her beautiful eyes are filled with fear. She only heard Qin Yun say that he killed heavenly sovereigns and heavenly divine nations, but she felt that it was not Qin Yun's own power. Because Qin Yun has many friends, and he can also borrow the divine power of Myriad Realms' Divine Sunday. Now that she sensed Qin Yun's powerful aura, Hua Yu realized that she still underestimated the strength of this acting family king. Friend from the dark space, we only mistakenly entered this place. We have no ill intentions. As Qin Yun spoke, the sound wave carried a faint blue light and spread out in all directions. His voice reverberated throughout the ancient city. He suspected that the people of the ancient city are in another space, so he used his powerful Imperial Heaven Divine Power to release the sound wave, hoping that the people in the dark space could hear him. After Qin Yun finished speaking, Hua Yu also quietly listened, hoping to hear someone's reply. Not long after, they indeed heard a voice. "We didn't mean to trap you. It's because we are all sealed. We can't completely control the ancient city." A voice suddenly came. "Who sealed you?" Qin Yun asked. "Law enforcement realm." The voice replied, "Someone from the law enforcement realm came in before, right? Those people seem to have been captured by you. Those black-clothed women are from the law enforcement realm." It is unknown where the voice came from, but it seems to be nearby. Qin Yun and Hua Yu immediately realized that there should be a lot of people in this city. However, those people are in another space. Why did the law enforcement realm seal you? Qin Yun asked again, "Is it because of the heavenly rules Tao orthodoxy?" When the heavenly rules Tao orthodoxy established all the rules, we still haven't appeared. And when we appeared, the law enforcement realm couldn't control us, so they added rules to the heavenly rules Tao orthodoxy to restrict us. When we violate the rules, immediately use the power of the heavenly rules Tao orthodoxy to seal us. The voice is filled with resentment. Qin Yun already knew that the heavenly rules Tao orthodoxy has a very formidable power. However, this mysterious heavenly rules Tao orthodoxy seems to be controlled by the law enforcement realm and used unscrupulously. Then why did this ancient city suddenly appear? Is it because of the heavens sealing? Qin Yun asked. The law enforcement realm used the heavenly rules Tao orthodoxy to commit crimes and sealed many thorns in their eyes. They are not proficient in the heaven-sealing great forbidden technique, so it caused the seals of many heavenly rules Tao orthodoxy to loosen. The voice said, "The formation that sealed our ancient city has loosened, but we still can't break the seal." It was just that the ancient city had broken the seal, but the mysterious race of the dark space was still sealed. In that case, the law enforcement realm made a big mistake this time. Won't this heaven-sealing 10 days be very chaotic? Qin Yun is very worried. Don't worry. Those who were sealed by the law enforcers were not evil. To be honest, if we were evil people, you would have definitely been sent into the dark space by us. The voice said, "That little queen ant just now. She knows how strong we are." Hua Yu asked, "Then what race are you? How come I've never heard of you?" "We're creatures of the dark space. The situation in the dark space is very complicated. The main thing is that the space Xian ants are the most, and we're a group evolved from the space Xian ants combining with other energies, and after millions of years, we have formed a group. We're leaving the dark space. After that, he built this city and floated in the endless void of the universe. In the end, he was targeted by the law enforcers. The voice was very calm. They were having a friendly conversation with Qin Yun. Then can your race freely enter and exit the dark space? Asked Qin Yun. Of course not. We can only mobilize the power of the dark space. After we leave the dark space, we won't be able to go back. We are not space Xian ants. We do not have the ability to travel freely like space Xian ants. The voice sighed with some regret. After we evolved into humans, we were abandoned by the dark space. Qin Yun asked, how can I save you? After you come out, you can let us leave this city, right? As long as we can get out, we'll immediately stop the city and remove all the defenses. We'll send you out. The voice said, however, it's very difficult to save us. Previously, there was a guy called Heaven Extermination. He was very strong, but he couldn't save us. Is that so? Qin Yun said in surprise. Later, the Heaven Destroyer found a guy who claimed to be the Heavenly Axiom to talk to us. He said that he would definitely be able to save us, but he didn't succeed either. The voice said with contempt. The Heaven Destroyer even said that the Heavenly Axiom was his son. Heaven Extermination, his father, can't even save me, let alone his son. Qin Yun said, then I'll give it a try. I don't think I'm any worse than those two guys. Of course, he would never tell that person that he was Heaven Extermination's grandson. Otherwise, he would be despised. He also secretly despised Heaven Extermination and Heavenly Tao. They only knew how to brag. Later on, they failed and it became embarrassing. There's a monument in the city. That monument was originally a sacred object of our clan. Later on, it was used by the law enforcement realm to seal us. If you want to save us, you can only start from that monument. The voice said. Qin Yun saw that monument through his heavenly eye before. It is rather large, more than 10 meters tall, and is located in the middle of a small plaza. The area where the small plaza is located is surrounded by many large houses. It should be the core area of this clan. I'll go take a look. Qin Yun nodded at Hua Yu and flew over with her. Very quickly, Qin Yun and Hua Yu arrived under the monument. After Qin Yun saw the monument, he could not help but exclaim, this monument is very strong. What exactly is inside? He only sensed that there was something inside the monument after he got close. There is a space origin stone of the dark space inside the monument. The voice said, that is also the most important thing of our clan. The people from the law enforcement realm have always wanted it, but they couldn't take it away. Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye and observed the monument. Very quickly, he discovered a very familiar seal, Heavenly God Sealing Restriction. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.